Race tensions are on the menu tonight, boys, because the Karmelo Anthony case, it's over. He was found guilty of first-degree murder in the killing of Austin Metcalf, and it was an open and shut case. I mean, the jury barely deliberated. Every single witness was like, yo, dude was in the wrong. And the testimony we got was, it's merciless. I don't even know what the defense thought they were doing by going to trial. The story is, just not to bury the lead, Karmelo Anthony drew his knife, unfolded it, prepared it before there was any conflict, then told these people, touch me, was explicitly told by Austin, I will not fight you, dude. And when he walked towards him, according to one witness, before he even could put his hands on him to push him out of the tent, I want to be careful how I describe this because he didn't. Anthony stabbed him in the heart, killing him. This was just murder. And he was convicted, and he began crying when they read out that verdict. Now, outside, there was not a big crowd, so it's not like, riots or anything, but fights did break out a little bit. Some people believe this will trigger massive riots around the country, but I'm not so sure. However, this isn't the only story that's breaking right now. This is the biggest story domestically. Everybody wants to know about it. But across the pond, over in Belfast, the riots have gotten so insane. My friends, I have not seen anything like this in a long time. Reports of potentially 90-plus buildings set on fire. Men wearing all black and masks, setting migrant homes on fire, smashing out windows of refugees and illegal immigrants and migrants. Videos, there's a video of a black guy walking through the street, blocking traffic. A guy just knocks him out and they start kicking him while he's down. There are videos of men in all black setting up checkpoints. Belfast is heating up, and I think people need to understand there are many people alive today who fought in the Troubles. This ended in 1998. If you want to get nitpicky, you can say it was much more intense in the late 80s, early 90s. But there were people who may be in their mid-50s to early 60s who literally fought in the Troubles and still hold that Ireland for the Irish mentality. This all started when a Sudanese man used a steak knife from a kitchen. I'm sorry for those that are a little squeamish, but I got to explain this. To attempt to remove a man's head in public. Some say he may have even sawed this man's eyes out with the knife. That's how gruesome and brutal the attack was. And the riots are absolutely insane. I got to be honest, guys, we didn't actually know which to lead off with because the story developing in Ireland is absolutely shocking. In fact, we're seeing sister protests in Glasgow. I mean, people, it's not just in Ireland. People in the UK are fed up, and it is escalating. Protests, well, I should say, to clarify, it's not just in Northern Ireland, which is the UK. It's in other parts of the UK. So it's getting pretty intense. We're going to talk about that. Plus, guys, the Democrats cheated in California. Hey, we got the evidence of how they did it. We actually can show you the mechanisms they used to cheat the election. And some have argued, this is what the media has been doing. When I say they cheat, I didn't say they committed anything illegal. I think they codified fraud. They made it legal, so it's a normal practice. And then Rolling Stone says, is fraud the only argument you have? Well, I never said it was fraud. I said you're cheating. I said you're sending out activists to collect ballots from the homeless and from nursing homes and paying people to do it, which is legal. And the DSA on their website explicitly states, if the individual wants a different candidate, tell them thank you and leave. If they say they support your candidate, fill out the ballot with them and drop it off for them. That's electioneering. That is not an election. We're going to talk about all this stuff. Big breaking news. Before we get started, we got a great sponsor for you guys. It is the 2026 Freedom Summit. Today's episode sponsored by the Freedom Trading Summit. The left talks about affordability. They never seem to mention how costly excessive Biden-era regulations have been to American families. Under Biden, over 400 new rules were forced on Americans each year. All these excessive rules and laws placed a heavy $1.8 trillion burden on the back of hardworking Americans. Thankfully, Trump is changing that. Last year's admin cut more than 600 rules and regulations, while only introducing 5 new ones. He even signed an executive order that instructs federal agencies to eradicate 10 regulations for every new one they implement. On June 4th, the SEC officially axed something called pattern day trader, the pattern day trader rule. This rule forced people to keep $25,000 in their account if they wanted to day trade. So if you ever wanted to build wealth using the stock market, now is the time. But you got to know what you're doing. So you'll need someone to show you the ropes, and the perfect place to do that is at the special virtual event called the 2026 Freedom Trading Summit, Thursday, June 11th, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's hosted by Mark Wilburn. a 20-year stock market veteran. Well, we had him on the Culture War show last week. The dude knows his stuff when it comes to trading. So go to freedomticket26.com, claim your ticket. It's going to, again, it'll be this Thursday, June 11th, and on Saturday, June 13th as well. Check it out, freedomticket26.com. Thanks for sponsoring the show, guys. Don't forget to also go to timcast.com and join our Discord community. Man, right now is the time. We got tens of thousands of people hanging out every single day. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and community is the most important thing. We exist for the human experience. Who are you sharing yours with, and who are you standing by in these trying times? We knew that community was more important than anything we could offer. So we also, to be honest, it was also the best business thing we could do. Building a space where people can come together, work and share ideas. It's a mission. It is not just a show. When you join, you become a part of that community and that mission. And you may agree or disagree, but you can start companies, start projects, and some people have even gotten married. Pretty dang cool, but no guarantees. More importantly, you support the work we do. Without you, we can't do this. So check us out. Join us, timcast.com. Smash the like button right now and share this show with on every platform you can. Post it on X. Tell your friends on Instagram and Facebook. Post the link and say, hey, guys, come hang out and watch the show. Well, we got the obvious joining us. Everybody knows who he is. He's loud. He's Alex Stein.
Well, I just want to say free Karmelo Anthony. I know that he stabbed a 17-year-old in the heart, but slavery did exist, Tim. And I think this is all due to slavery. If slavery wasn't a real thing, then Austin Metcalf would still be alive today. We
got a lot of analysis to break down in this one. I think it's going to get interesting because there's a lot of claims of Summer of Love coming up. And based on what we're seeing at Belfast, I think there's a big discussion about where we're going in terms of race. And I got to call it what it is, but I don't know if you describe it as like white racial awakening, but certainly there's a larger conversation with these Instagram videos, these TikTok videos, but we'll get into that. We got the boys hanging out.
Hello, everybody. It seems like just yesterday that I was here. In fact, it was.
I think that might have actually been yesterday.
Might have actually been yesterday. It's Brett. Normally, I'm doing Pop Culture Crisis on Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, but I'm back once again, and I'm glad to see all of you. How you doing, Phil?
What's up, everybody? My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. Carter?
What's up, everyone? I'm Carter Banks, and let's get into this.
Here's the latest news. The New York Post says Karmelo Anthony sobs as he's convicted of murder for stabbing Austin Metcalf, and killers' angry supporters claim this whole thing has been racist. Now, this is where we currently are. I'll give you the quick gist. This is one of the fastest court cases we've ever had to deal with. When you look at the Kyle Rittenhouse, we're living in suspense for weeks. This case was, June 1st was jury selection. The jury deliberated for a couple of hours. It was clear. Day one of testimony, I was shocked. I didn't think it was going to be so clear-cut. I know everybody knows, but I didn't think it was going to be so clear-cut. Witnesses came out and said Karmelo Anthony grabbed the knife in his bag. He had opened it and prepared it before there was any conflict. He was asked 15 times to leave the tent, and he refused. He was holding the knife, ready to use it before anybody made any gestures of potential physical. That nobody was threatening him. He's holding the knife. He says, touch me and see what happens. Austin Metcalf, several witnesses told him, dude, he said, I'm not going to fight you at a track meet, dude. So apparently when you look at this big picture from all the witnesses, everybody under the tent was calm. Except for Karmelo, who wasn't supposed to be there, who witnesses said it was actually weird that he was there because no one's ever thought about going to another team's tent. He grabbed his backpack, reached in, grabbed the knife, and unfolded it, was holding it before there was any potential for a physical altercation, was told he would not be fought. Finally, and actually several witnesses said they were all warning other people to stay away from him because he was grabbing a weapon. Austin Metcalf, according to witnesses, they believe, we don't know for sure, he approached him to push him out of the tent. The reason I say we don't know for sure is because, according to witnesses, before Austin could even shove him, Karmelo pulled the knife and stabbed him directly in the heart. There was never a threat of force against him. His worst case scenario was that Austin was going to put his hand on his shoulder and push him out of the tent. That's not a threat of force or violence. That's barely even being escorted out. Karmelo decided to stab him in the heart and kill him. That's it. It was an open and shut case. The jury said first degree murder. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where the conversation for us comes in. Outside, we have seen many of the black activists argue it's racist. He's innocent. He was backed into a corner. Or more importantly, from Savannah Hernandez, who saw the video where they said, we don't care. This woman said outright, he's one of ours, so we'll protect our own because they would do the same. Which brings us to this big question as it relates also to Ireland, which we'll get into a bit. Racial tensions in this country are worse, and it all started than it's ever been, in my opinion. In my lifetime, I should say.
Well, to be
Because
fair, the O.J. Simpson trial, where everybody was supporting O.J. Simpson, I think it was pretty obvious that he stabbed Nicole Brown Simpson.
Right. I just want to clarify. I was being hyperbolic. I certainly think civil rights era was way crazier, and Jim Crow and slavery and all that. I'm saying in my lifetime, it's worse than I've ever seen it. And it all started around when Obama got in, and we got this DEI stuff in social media and all this woke stuff. And then you started getting, this I guess affirmative action policies were expanding. So where we are now is the question of where are race relations heading in this country, and will we see riots over this young man's conviction?
Well, I just want to say this. I was joking, obviously, about the free Karmelo, and I think it was just obvious that he was going to be found guilty because he brought a knife to a track meet. I mean, you're guilty. I mean, who brings a knife to a track meet?
I want to pause on that one because this is where things got murky before the trial. You're allowed to carry a knife.
To a school event? I don't know if you are.
I think that was the only argument they made was that he was allowed to have the knife because it was less than 3.5.
Yeah.
Right, but here's my point. I don't want to entertain a world where if I carry my gun, someone goes, why'd you bring a gun to the grocery store?
I agree with that, but it's a little different when you're in high school and to a sporting event where Austin Metcalf pushed him. When you're playing football, you're playing basketball. I'm saying whatever, but you push around a little bit. That's what sports are.
But this is why it's murder, because he stabbed him for no reason.
I agree. No.
Here's what I want to avoid. Look, if you go to a grocery store, let's say you're shopping in West Virginia. Say Phil, let's say you're shopping in West Virginia and you go to Food Lion, and you are strapped as a Phil would be.
Always.
And you see a guy and he reaches into his shirt and says, "I'm going to kill you, Phil Labonte." So you draw your gun and point him and say, "Don't move." And then he pulls out something real quick and points it. So you take a shot.
Yep.
Right?
Reasonable fear.
Holding a cell phone. Someone then says, it's murder because why did you bring a gun to a grocery store? You're going shopping for food, bro. What do you need a gun for? When in reality, if you are allowed to carry a weapon, in this instance he was. That's why I don't want to make the weapon the issue. The issue
I don't think you are allowed to bring one to a track meet, to be fair.
I think the actual argument initially was you are allowed to have a folding knife under a certain size when you at the school.
Even at a school?
But even if that is the case, I don't agree with the leftist worldview of you're not allowed to have like a folding knife.
Plus,
dude.
it was a distraction. So there was like articles from like TMZ that said they decided the knife was legal to be had, and somebody's like, yeah, but was like stabbing him legal? Because I don't think that's true. It's just an obfuscation of the entire point of the discussion.
I think it says everything that it was unfolded and ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, to Tim's point, I do think that it's worth saying. Look, it wasn't illegal for him to have it. Maybe it was possibly against the rules.
School policy.
School policy, but it wasn't illegal for him to have that knife. And the idea that this is a self-defense case, everything that you hear that's come from all of the witnesses totally destroys that argument.
Yeah.
Bronco was here last night, and one of the points that he made, which is something that you hear if you go to self-defense classes, you have to have reasonable fear of great bodily harm or death. And if Austin Metcalf put his hand on him and pushed him, that is not reasonable fear of great bodily harm or death.
School policy bans knives. Texas law allows them. So it was not a legal factor. My point is ultimately this. Dude reached into his bag, unfolded the knife, and gripped it ready to stab someone when there was zero threat against him.
And you knew he was guilty because you ran away. If he was actually self-defense, he would have stayed.
He was asking the police.
No. Again, he didn't
don't agree
flee
with
the
that?
scene.
I thought he did.
He threw the knife and went over to his tent and asked him what happened and remained for the police to come.
Okay.
And when the police came, he was asking the police, "Do you think this could be self-defense?" He was already he knew that he wasn't.
Well, no. He said, "I'm not alleged. I did it. He put his hands on me. I told him not to touch me."
Yeah, and then he asked. He followed up. He asked the police, "Do you think this is self-defense?" And this is just what I'm hearing from coming.
So
out
this
of court.
this is what made it initially contentious was that he didn't flee the scene. He threw his knife after stabbing him, stayed on the track but went to the other tent, waited for the police to arrive, said he did it, was arrested, claimed he put his hands on me. I told him not to. All of the witnesses, including one of the dudes who was friends with him, said he was wrong and he shouldn't have been there. And one witness said he provoked the fight. And again, the most important thing was Austin Metcalf said, "I'm not going to fight you at a track meet, dude." That right away. I'm going to say it because Phil gets it, dude. If you have a gun and you're going grocery shopping and there's a guy standing there with no weapons and you're gruffing him, you're mean mugging him, and he goes, bro, I'm not going to fight you, and you shoot him, bro, that's
You're
just
doomed.
murder.
You're doomed.
I'm
Totally
not going to fight
doomed.
you, bro.
Well, what I think makes this more egregious is that people don't realize this is Frisco Memorial and Frisco Centennial High Schools. Like, these are some of the most affluent high schools in the state of Texas. Like, this is not South Dallas. This is not the hood. These are nice high schools. And Karmelo went to a school that is majority white. So it's just different. You know, it just seems like it didn't fit this is why I think he was defended so much, is that he is kind of a clean-cut black guy if you kind of look at him just, on paper. At the end of the day, he stabbed and murdered a guy, and it is what it is.
Yeah,
Well, I just don't understand what the defense was thinking. Like, they should have just taken the plea deal and been like, bro, you're going to jail for 5 years. Congratulations.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree. The plea deal should have been. Then they said they were actually at the lunch. The defendants were trying to get a plea deal.
Well, Branca said the other day, no way, because that wouldn't take 2 hours. He said, what did he say? What he thought they were doing? I forgot what he said they were trying to do. He said it wasn't a plea thing, because that would be 5 minutes.
Yeah, I forgot what he said.
Well, maybe I don't know for sure, but maybe they were debating whether or not they could add the manslaughter.
Where do
as
you
an
think
option.
this? Where do you think this goes when you were talking about riots and racial tensions? Because
I don't think we're right.
that's what I'm saying. Because given just how big America is and what the racial demographic was in that city, it's not the same thing as 2020 with George.
do you think
Floyd.
January 6th has scared people from rioting?
No, I think we're not going to. I think there's not going to be riots on this. When I say like we're not going to see riots, because it would be a trap. Like Matt Walsh made a
January
great point.
6th.
Matt Walsh said riots are not organic. Like, people think riots just happen organic. They don't. They're organized. And the reason why they're not going to riot for this one is that with George Floyd, okay, Chauvin was in the right. It was a tragic situation, but Chauvin was following protocol, showed up after the fact. George Floyd's already on the ground. Already, I can't breathe. Then Chauvin shows up having no idea what's going on and uses his knee. According to the defense's own witness in the Chauvin trial, Derek Chauvin was authorized under MPD guidelines to use a taser on George Floyd. In that moment, just right there, zap, and opted to use a physical pin instead of the taser, meaning he chose a lower use of force on the continuum.
But he took a lethal dose of fentanyl. That's what people don't realize.
This is my point.
Yeah, he used
The reason why they riot for this one is that they had a video of George Floyd on the ground saying, "Mama, mama," and it generates, it's used to manipulate people. Now, hold on. In this instance, there's no video. And the story, the only thing we know is that Austin Metcalf said, "I'm not going to fight you," and was stabbed in the heart by a black kid. If they riot over this, that means every one of us will have that narrative when you talk to a normie, someone who doesn't pay attention. Why are they rioting? Because a black kid stabbed a white kid in the heart, murdering him in cold blood, and they're mad he's going to jail. And they're going to say, what? Mm-hmm. With George Floyd, why are they rioting? They go, because a cop pinned a black man down as he begged for his mother and died. You see the narrative difference here.
Totally
There's
different. I
also
understand that.
going on during COVID, there was
Yeah.
Facebook live streams of it while it happened. It's about as close to organic as you can get for something like that, where people were so mortified by what they saw. On top of the fact that people were literally at home because they weren't working because of COVID, and everybody saw this simultaneously.
That's a big reason. Like, you're not going to see the kind of riots nationwide for anything. I don't think. I can't think of anything that would actually spark that kind of riot in the United States nowadays, because of the fact that you don't have people locked in their homes. The protests and riot were the only reason you were allowed to leave. Everything was closed. Everything was shut down. People were getting stir crazy and stuff. So they're like, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to protest or whatever. It turned into a big party for 80-90% of the people that were at the protests and riots. They were just watching the small groups of people that were actually going to get buck wild.
Look at this banner.
See that?
That's actually easier to read. It says, "As long as you don't touch me, we cool." As if that is in any way exculpatory. You cannot use a knife on someone's heart because they touch you.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I will stress, I believe Brenda Morello and both Sarah Fields, they said no one ever said that. That was never uttered by any. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure they said that's actually not from any of the witnesses. No one said that was said. That's not a thing.
Well, I think you're right, though. These protests are never organic. There's always like some sort of Facebook organizer, Discord organizer. Like that's what they need for it to actually happen. They need somebody to organize it. So that's why I don't think this is going to happen.
It's also really hot in Texas right now.
Yeah, people don't want to go do it. It's just not for this. People are not going to approach it.
I just gotta say, man,
They're like, oh,
I'm
racial justice, sure, but like at 90 degrees, not 96.
Bro, if I was his brother, like if this happened to my family or my brother, this would not just be a news story about a criminal trial. I mean, I'll keep my language light, but like my
be very and Rumble, but be careful.
well, no, no, I'm not that kind of person.
Well, it sounds like you're about to say something violent.
No. That's
what I feel like you're about to say.
I was going to say something more Ozymandias.
Okay.
You know, Watchmen. Are you guys familiar with that?
A little bit.
Oh, it's a masterpiece. You got to read the comic.
Watchmen? Yeah, I mean,
I do like how they changed the movie ending a little, like because the alien invasion. But my point is, I would dedicate my waking existence to the destruction of everything that you represent. This would not be violent. It would all be legal, above board, and through a natural process of advocacy. And let's just call it a circuitous method of economics. But let me just say, if I applied my every waking being to vengeance and accountability, it would be worse than a riot.
it sounds like an accelerationist is what that sounds like.
No, I'm saying like I would not stop at trial. I'd file lawsuits. I'd buy property. I'd send police and private security into these areas. I would lock this stuff down. I'd dedicate my life to making sure these things can never happen again. And those that help make it happen are stripped from power. Like my point is, it would be I would focus everything I could. It would be like I'd dedicate my being to it. I wouldn't be sitting here complaining about politics. I'd be running nonprofits, raising money, and reshaping communities. Like it would be the utmost of governmental vengeance. You know.
Yeah, I understand that position. I think I would be too. But I'll just say this much, though. It's like people that are celebrating the fact that he is found guilty, I think that is great. You know, obviously but it's still not fair. You know, we lost Austin Metcalf. A guy died. Him going to jail for 40 years, 50 years. It's like you never get the equal result. You know what I mean? Like life is not fair is what I'm trying to argue.
What is this?
Even if you try to make it fair, it's not.
There's a video I want to pull up. Let me pull this video up. Keep talking.
This is all to say nothing of like Karmelo Anthony's supporters like doxing his mom and dad's houses separately like several times and like swatting them or something like this. I mean,
The Metcalfs.
The Metcalfs?
Yeah. Like way back in the beginning.
I got two videos I want to play for you as we discuss the race relations in the United States. The first one is this.
What do you want us to do? That's right. What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for words. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I ain't got nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more.
Rest in peace, Trayvon Martin.
Don't
Let me ask you this
stab.
right now.
You can't walk away no mo. Is that what you're going to tell your kids? I know what you can tell your kids. Don't stab people. That's wild. And then he says, rest in peace, Trayvon Martin. I think the ultimate challenge is these people don't care about what's true. They just do not. And it's not a race thing. It's like, I think what divides the left and the right. And the left turns it into a race thing because they know it riles up these people who happen to be ethnocentric. I take a look at the issue and I understand why it becomes a race thing because of the baser liberal leftist worldview. There's probably a racial component to it, but they're pretending like Trayvon Martin did nothing wrong. Trayvon Martin was ground pounding Zimmerman.
And Zimmerman, like, you don't have to, like, you can be aware that Zimmerman was kind of dumb and you know, kind of a crappy guy because the things that he did afterwards were kind of, you know, they were kind of uncouth. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't in fear for his life. It doesn't mean that Trayvon Martin wasn't on top of him, punching him. And look, if you're in a position where someone's on top of you, hitting you, and you have a gun, you have to use the gun because if they knock you out or if they find the gun and get the gun, they're going to use it on you.
So real quick, the story of Zimmerman, I'll give you the quick gist. Trayvon Martin went to get an Arizona iced tea and some Skittles and was cutting through some community. Zimmerman saw him, called in as suspicious. When he confronted Trayvon, a fight broke out and Trayvon was winning. Now, Zimmerman is just doing neighborhood watch. He has no idea what's going on, but he's on the ground being punched in the face, so he shoots him in the chest. The media took the 911 call and edited out a portion of the dispatch. Did you know this?
I didn't know that.
Zimmerman was saying there's a suspicious guy walking around. The dispatcher says, what does he look like? And he goes, I think he's like 5'10". He's wearing a hoodie. And they go, and what's his race? I think he's black. NBC, I believe it was NBC. I'll pull this up to verify. Edited out the dispatcher. So he goes, there's a guy who looks suspicious. I think he's black. And that goes viral. And they're like, this white man killed a black guy. Zimmerman's Hispanic.
Yeah. That was the big lie. You know, they made it like it was a racial thing when he was Hispanic the whole time. I will say this, though, and this is going to be an unpopular position. It's just kind of like how she's, spouting nonsense. And you're going to get mad at me when I say this. It kind of reminds me of how Israel says every young kid under 18 in Gaza is a terrorist. And I'm just saying, it just seems similar. I know we're talking about this, but I mean that. It seems like once we get on our teams, once we're on our team, even if something bad happens to us, like we can't see the big picture. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening here.
I just want to say real quick, here's your white perpetrator 14 years ago in the Trayvon Martin case. They called him a white guy. Like, dude's literally Hispanic. He sued NBC, saying that they saw it not as a tragedy, but as an opportunity to increase their ratings. The complaint alleges the first altered call that NBC aired in March 29th included these statements. Zimmerman, there's a real suspicious guy. This guy looks like he's up to no good or he's on drugs or something. He looks black. Dispatcher, are you following him? Yeah. Okay, we don't need you to do that. The complaint alleges Zimmerman's they changed his remarks to, This guy looks like he's up to no good or on drugs or something. He's got his hands in his waistband and he's a black male. Are you following him? The suit claims the audio had several deletions and about a minute of conversation was ultimately taken out. Zimmerman alleges some dialogue was also moved around to create the false impression that he had a racist motive. This guy looks like he's up to no good or he's on drugs or something. It's raining and he's just walking around looking about. The dispatcher then says, okay, and this guy, is he white, black, Hispanic? He looks black. They cut that line out. So he's like, he looks like he's up to no good, and he's black.
Are there legal repercussions for that from the news networks that ran it that way?
No.
I think they lost.
The news networks did.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
That's
let me say another unpopular opinion. Zimmerman is a Jewish last name, but I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Jesus.
I'm just going to leave it at that. We love Israel. God bless Israel. I'm Israel.
There's another video I want to pull up as it pertains to race relations, and it's this one from Brandon Gill in the SPLC.
Love Brandon Gill. He's actually one of the best congressmen.
He is. And this clip is actually informative because he's actually talking to a black guy about something really interesting as it pertains to the bigger picture. I want to play this.
Your organization said that restricting and banning abortion is a tool that the far right uses to maintain white supremacy. Do you believe that pro-lifers are white supremacists?
I believe that reproductive liberty is...
No, do you believe that pro-lifers are white supremacists?
I'll tell you what I believe if you're asking.
Yes or no?
I can't answer that question, yes or no.
I don't think that pro-lifers are white supremacists. Do you?
What I think is that reproductive liberty is a right that every woman should enjoy.
How many babies in the United States that are aborted are black? About 40% of abortions nationwide are of black babies. Blacks represent about 13% of the population. Does that sound like something a white supremacist would oppose?
What I would say again is that SPLC supports reproductive liberty.
Calling somebody a white supremacist is a pretty serious charge, isn't it? I would think you would be able to defend that if your organization says that. You clearly seem unable to.
Mr. Gill, I'm not sure why you would think I'm able to do anything.
Because you're the president of the SPLC, which labels pro-lifers as racists.
Well,
does your organization just hurl around epithets like that without any justification?
This is something that you may have heard of. It's called the 1340. Despite making up 13% of the population, black babies account for 40% of the abortions. Something is messed up there.
People are reporting on Twitter that the verdict in the Karmelo Anthony trial is, or the sentencing is in
to
come down. Not yet. It's not in. He's
Ladies
in
and gentlemen,
the courtroom right now.
We will have that sentencing live for you here in Timcast IRL. I'm making sure to pull it up right now to make sure we get it. So
what do you guess, Tim? What do you think? I think it'll be 40 years. What do you
40? No, he's 17. It could be something like 10 to 25.
Oh, you think it'll be that light?
Can I ask you guys' opinion on something then?
I mean 10 to 25 is light for murder. I mean,
I think the jury might say something like, well, it's tough. Does he have a criminal? I don't think he's got a criminal history.
No, I don't think he's ever been.
Yeah, he's a first offender. They're going to say he's 17. So he's just about an adult, but no other record. Like, 10 to 25. And it's a broad range, and it's kind of a cop-out. So I don't think it's going to be 40, 50 years. I think that's crazy. I also think they are concerned about potential riots. So it might be on the low end. It might be 15.
I think I saw Matt Walsh talking about the death penalty for something like this. Is that something you guys thought was it like?
That's capital.
No, I know it's not. I know it's not
eligible
happening, but I'm
for
saying like because he was. I think he was saying. I don't want to say it was him because
We got it live from Fox 4. Jurors reach a sentence following the guilty verdict. So we're just waiting for the live updates. They'll come in on the. Let's see. The court is expected to resume in about 20 minutes as of 7:05 Central. So. Looks like it's about now. We're gonna get it any moment. So let's we'll keep our eyes peeled for it.
You know, people have criticisms of Texas, but just look at this court case, how fast they got it done.
It's kind of amazing, yeah.
If this was in Minneapolis or something, this would be months. This would be riots. It's just funny how a different state, it's handled totally differently.
Texas doesn't mess around.
No, dude.
Yeah, I mean, and it's honestly, it's a good thing. This happened less than a year ago, right?
Yeah, I think it's been 1 year, basically.
Yeah,
exactly.
So to go for a capital case to actually go through the court system within 1 year and actually it's probably less.
Well, Phil, what doesn't make sense is that his family raised $600,000 on a GoFundMe, but they're using the public defender. Like, I don't even know how that happened. It doesn't make any sense. How
spent the money.
Yeah, I know. They spent the money on Escalades, and allegedly, I don't know that, but it just seems very weird that they raised $600,000 and they're using a public defender. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, it's bad money management, of course. So these people weren't poor in the first place.
No,
we have an arrest outside the 20 minutes ago, the Collin County Courthouse. Not a Karmelo supporter. He got aggressive with Karmelo supporters. He's been arrested.
Was it Jake Lang? Was it Jake Lang? He's
I don't
been
know.
arrested at everything. He got arrested at Chud the Builder. He almost got arrested there. He got arrested at Frisco for going to the Karmelo Anthony scene where the high school, where it happened at the church.
Who's that dude who dresses up like a Joker on Chat Your Bait or whatever?
Gypsy Crusader.
Oh, Gypsy Crusader.
What's that app they use? It's not Chat Your Bait.
Duel. Or no, they use Omegle. Or what?
It's still
what is it
Omegle?
called? Is it? I think
You
it
see
is
this
Omegle.
with
I think
kids. It's been around for a long time.
I'm pretty sure it's Omegle. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's crazy about Chud the Builder? I don't agree with him. I think he was antagonizing black people by calling them the N-word. I don't want to be called a cracker when I'm like pumping gas. But he's got a very unfair issue with his bail sentencing because,
of course.
Yeah, because if you actually Karmelo Anthony, he was out totally free before this trial.
That's right.
And Austin Metcalf died.
My point is with the race relation stuff and Gypsy Crusader guy and even Chud the Builder is that the younger generation just literally, it's like a Gen Z white racial awakening. Call it whatever you want.
Desensitized to it. I think.
I don't think they're okay. We got it. 33. Breaking news, everybody. 35 years in prison.
Whoa.
Brianna Morello. Breaking. Here we go.
I said 40. It was close.
I thought it was going to be lower than that.
35. Yep. That's higher than I thought. Wow.
But he'll probably be eligible.
We split the difference. We were both,
But he'll be eligible for parole probably like after 20 or 25 years or whatever. So. I don't
35
think
years.
He'll do the whole 35.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. That's pretty intense.
I was expecting like 20.
Yeah, here we go. The verdict is in. The sentence is in. It's 35 years in prison. He gone. That's it. This is pretty intense. You know why? We're coming from this woke era. Bro, if this murder happened in 2018, 2019, he would have walked faster than a speed walker going for the world record.
Yeah, he probably would have.
Well, I don't know. I would
Texas?
argue that the fact that it's in McKinney, Texas, Collin County, it's a little different than like libtard San Francisco or Minneapolis. I think that is a big difference in this court case.
Like that speaks to what they were talking about earlier. Just the size of America means that you could be getting a very different trial. That's why they tried to
100%.
move the Chauvin trial.
It's like the
They didn't
January
get
6ers.
the change of venue.
Every trial was in D.C. They all got found guilty. I think if you had those court cases somewhere else, they might have actually had a fighting chance, but they didn't because they got a liberal jury for every single court case.
That kind of stuff is that type of jury is grounds for moving the case, whatever case it is, whether it be the Chauvin case or the January 6ers. And to be honest with you, like if you can't, and Tim's made this point, if you can't guarantee an impartial jury, the solution isn't be like throw them in jail. The solution is let them go because you're guaranteed an impartial jury. If you can't produce that, let them go free.
During the Chauvin case, They brought up venue, saying the jury's tainted in Minnesota, and the judge said there's no jurisdiction in Minnesota where you're not going to have the jury know about this. Okay, case dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot guarantee due process, you cannot put a person in prison, and they didn't care. They did it anyway.
Is that even possible with cases that size in the age of social media?
Well, that's the challenge right now with social media, that we are losing the ability to have due process.
Well, I think it does affect it. I know with the Karmelo Anthony's case, they had 500 potential jurors. Then they, broke it down to 200, and then to whatever it was, like 12 plus the 6 auxiliary jurors. So I don't know. I mean, I guess with the internet era, it is almost impossible to find an impartial jury. But there is probably also some people that are just like so disconnected from reality that they don't know what's going on. I mean, that is a possibility.
They are the ones getting snail mail, getting told that they're going to jury duty.
Yeah, it's like the people that fall for the Indian scams, and they're like, I got your credit card number, It's like there are some people that are just so dumb that they don't know what's going on.
And those are the people on a jury? Holy crap, take the bench
I think
trial.
it happens all the time. Well, I had a big First Amendment lawsuit where I sued the county judge, and I don't want to get all racial, but I'll just say this much. I had a First Amendment lawsuit against the county judge of Dallas, Texas, because they outlawed my speech. I was speaking there. I was talking about how he got arrested for doing a panty raid when he was in college. And they admitted on the jury stand they did not follow the proper procedure, because how it would work is a county commissioner, if they want to kick me out, that's who the county commissioner kicked me out, not the county judge. They have to take a vote. They admitted that they did not follow the procedures of their own meeting. But I had 6 people on the jury, 4 Hispanic, 1 black woman, and 1 white guy, and trying to explain to them what the First Amendment was impossible. They had no idea what the First Amendment was. They literally didn't understand the First Amendment, Second Amendment. So there is a possibility that you get a jury that is just so uneducated or has no idea what's going on that they're just like,
that's definitely
oblivious.
That's not a jury of your peers. Then, if they don't understand the process that's in front of them,
that's the whole point of jury selection.
Well, I also learned this too. Some people, and this is, Hispanics and blacks, I'm not trying to target them, they actually don't like the Constitution because that was written in a time of slavery. So they're actually anti-Constitution. When I would guess that all of us are here very pro-Constitution.
There is no such thing as a Constitution.
What?
I already... Don't say anything about what we were talking about before the show, because that's going to be a big surprise. But my argument is that the Constitution is largely defunct at this point.
Oh, wow.
Let's get into it, just so I don't leave people hanging. Do you believe in the First Amendment?
I do.
So do you agree with the?
But no, I get limited all the time. I mean, if I try to
okay, do you agree with the Founding Fathers' views on the First Amendment?
I agree that we should have it, but does it always?
Do you agree with the intention of the Founding Fathers?
100%.
So you think people should be locked up in jail for saying Christ is not king?
No, I don't think that.
That's what the Founding Fathers wanted.
Wait.
Blasphemy was illegal until 1956 or something.
Is that true?
Yes.
I didn't really. Blasphemy.
George Carlin got arrested. I was
7 dirty words, but wait, you couldn't.
You could not blaspheme. Nope.
Wow.
It was illegal. It was a crime.
I didn't realize that.
Do you think that? What state do you live in?
Texas.
Do you think that Texas should have the right to ban your guns?
No way.
Why not? The Second Amendment?
Yeah.
The Founding Fathers believed the states did have the right to ban guns, but the federal government did not. The purpose of the federal Constitution was constrain federal authority from going into a state and taking guns from a private citizen.
So you don't like Roe versus Wade?
What is that?
I'm saying you think that states should be able to have abortion. Is that what you're trying to argue?
My argument of the Constitution is that your interpretation of it deviates from the intent of the Constitution as it was written.
Well, I guess that is fair because those are federal rules and they're states' rights. Yeah, I think that
if you believe in a federal Constitution, meaning you want it, or a written Constitution, meaning it's written to preserve its intent, conservatives and liberals both wildly disagree on what the intent is and what the founders actually wanted it to be, regardless of the amendments.
Well, shouldn't the...
So like the 9th and 10th Amendments are like void at this point, right?
The 9th and 10th are basically beat up. It's worth noting that 44 states have some provision that it reflects what the Second Amendment was. So there's only 6 states that actually legally...
Right, because they actually have their own versions of gun rights.
In their own
Have you
bills
ever
of
had
rights,
on
yes.
Vim Miller? He was a guy that was accused of being the 3rd Trump assassin. He got arrested at a
Oh,
rally.
right.
And the only reason he got arrested is that he had a magazine that had 14 bullets in California that's illegal because you can't have a magazine with over 10 bullets. And he wasn't. He was like a Trump supporter. But I'm saying because of those weird laws.
Let me say it like this so people understand. The Constitution, and I always give a shout out to Wade Stotts because he had one of the best videos breaking down what the Constitution is. Constitutions they're a reference to the body politic of a nation at the time. The Constitution is what constitutes the body politic. Currently, there are 2 in the United States. The liberal interpretation, or what we refer to as the multicultural democracy, and the conservative, which we would call the constitutional republic. The constitutional republic believes in it is a branching off. It is a descendant of the intent of the founding fathers, though it does deviate. The multicultural democracy is largely born from non-citizens, migrants, and international influences on a population of the United States. These are two different constitutions, and I don't mean the physical U.S. Constitution. I mean there are two different bodies politic that have wildly different worldviews on how a country should be run and what they have a right to do. So, for instance, the left argues that the First Amendment doesn't cover hate speech. And we would argue, of course it does, because what other speech? However, the Founding Fathers argued the First Amendment didn't protect blasphemy. Blasphemy was illegal. You'd go to jail. If you walked outside in town center and screamed, "Christ is not king," they would arrest you. You would face trial. You could be exiled or
I didn't realize that.
Jailed.
I thought we had freedom of religion the whole time. So
that's also incorrect. You got to watch some Charlie Kirk, brother.
Yeah, I love Charlie. Are you kidding? I freaking love Charlie. I didn't realize.
Charlie was a genius, man. He pointed this out.
He was a genius.
The initial states, and even to this day, still have laws in the books requiring you to profess a faith in a Christian God in order to hold office. Did you know that?
I did.
And the funny thing is, so it was around the mid 1700s, these states started getting rid of these provisions, requiring you to explicitly state a belief in a Protestant God. Maryland was an exception because it was a Catholic colony, and I believe Connecticut was an exception. Virginia was because Jefferson was a deist. So there were different interpretations among the states. But the initial colonies required you to profess a faith in a Protestant or typically Protestant or at least Christian God. Otherwise, you could not hold office. The reason why the Founding Fathers believed in a separation of church and state at the constitutional level was not because they expected Muslims and Jews and Buddhists to hold hands. It's because Protestants and Catholics fought each other. And so they were like, no, the federal government is not going to get into a fight between Maryland and New York and South Carolina over which Christian God is the right one. So that was it. They knew everyone was Christian, but they didn't want a Protestant Catholic thing going on.
Well, I do agree that the reason they put freedom of religion meant like either you're a Christian or you're not anything. You're either like an atheist.
You weren't allowed. No, freedom of religion was you can be a Protestant or a Catholic. We're not gonna get into it.
Well, I thought you could be Christian or not, agnostic. I didn't think it'd mean you could.
You could not
Muslim
hold office, bro.
Jewish.
You could not hold office. They did
unless you were a Christian.
You had to profess a faith in a Christian God, bro. That law is still in the books in some places.
Well, it's crazy.
We
got to kick out a lot of politicians who need to freaking use that law.
That's why you swear on a Bible in court.
Well,
Trump a country. I just want to stress this too. I'm sorry. I try to stress this. This idea from liberals where they're like the Founding Fathers thought that there should be no state religion, and I'm like, bro, you have to swear on a Bible to be president. You put your hand on the Bible. The Bible. Come on.
Mom Donnie used the Quran for a minute.
Indeed, it is changing. And that's the point about what a constitution is. What constitutes the people? Bro, I guarantee you go back to 1776, 1789 at the ratification, and you say, for the first president, let's use, I don't know, let's use a Buddhist, Confucianist. They're going to be like, what?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. There is, I think there's I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, that Jefferson did use a Quran or something. I don't think that's true. I think it was that he had studied the Quran and had discussed it in some length or something.
Thomas Jefferson got sworn in on a Quran?
No, I think that's it's like a myth presented by people, liberals. But I can fact check that because I don't think that's the case. He was a deist. He had basically written up the Bible and removed
the
Christian
Jefferson Bible, yeah.
Right. So anyway, that's my point on the Constitution, and I think conservatives have their own interpretation the Founding Fathers wouldn't have agreed with, but
Most of it doesn't matter these days. Like I've had discussions with friends that are very liberal. When I mention the idea of living in a constitutional republic, they actually laugh at that concept because it depends on how politically aware you are. But when they use the term "our democracy," they're not talking about you. They're talking about people who believe their worldview. And when the Constitution is left open to interpretation, because that's what we're dealing with all the time, the Supreme Court is always making interpretations based on it. Obviously, they're just looking to push it a certain direction.
The confusion about Jefferson. Jefferson did take his oath. There was no historical record that he took his oath on a Quran. The confusion comes when Keith Ellison in 2007 used Jefferson's personal Quran because Jefferson owned a Quran.
Right. He was the first. Jefferson was the first to own one. I'm just saying. There's like an apocryphal thing that liberals push where they try and claim that
he did on a Quran.
That he had used it to be sworn in or something like that. Because they try to make the argument that the Founding Fathers were open to all religions, and it's just not true.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's my argument to freedom of religion, you're either Christian or you're not. Like it wasn't, they didn't want a bunch of Jews. They didn't want a bunch of Muslims. They didn't want a bunch of Scientologists. Not that that existed then, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying they didn't want a bunch of other religions.
Yeah, I mean, the argument coming from the left that the United States isn't a Christian nation falls apart when you actually read
It was a
history.
Christian, yeah.
I mean,
The Pilgrims. I mean, they came here, for religious persecutions.
I mean, for the vast majority of the first 150 years or so of the country, basically the country was Catholics and WASPs, and the Catholics took a lot of.
But you would have been allowed to hold office if you were another religion. You just wouldn't have done so on the Bible or on the book of another religion.
I think that it was probably not till the 60s where people like Muslims would be able to hold office.
Jews held office back then.
I don't know that that's
in
true.
The federal government?
I was looking up because this came out like the last time we were talking. It says like January of 1775 when Francis Salvador was elected to the South Carolina Provincial Congress, and they say that first started holding office or were permitted to start holding office following the ratification of the U.S. Constitution in 1788, which prohibited religious tests of federal.
Okay, so for federal government, okay.
Let's see.
Donald Trump is the first Jewish president. That's what we've decided, right? Can we not? What? Phil, don't get your head in the microphone like that.
Early state
His
constitutions
daughter's Jewish, dude.
required people to be Protestants. Between 1776 and the 1780s, you had to be a Protestant or, in some states, other Christian.
But that would have been a U.S. Constitution.
New York and Virginia were more open. The U.S. Constitution, 1787, Article 6 explicitly banned religious tests for federal office. This was revolutionary and allowed non-Christians and non-Protestants to hold national office, the first such national policy in the world at the time. It faced opposition from some who feared pagans or non-Christians in power. The intent, however, was largely due to the Protestant and Catholic divide. The intention of the federal government was to say we're going to remain neutral on this issue, but the states because the federal government was supposed to be weaker.
Yeah.
They did want a stronger federal government. That's why they made the Constitution, but it was supposed to be largely neutral in these affairs.
And bastardization of the Commerce Clause and the Necessary and Proper Clause have basically given the government the federal government the power to do anything it wants.
Well, I am in favor of states' rights. Like, I feel like the states should have their own rights.
The federal government isn't.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we don't have states' rights anymore, and I don't think anybody actually is, because then you would argue the states have a right to ban guns, right?
Yeah, technically, but I still believe in states' rights. I mean,
No, because the Constitution, like they don't have the right to ban guns. The Constitution says that they can't ban them.
So
it's like how marijuana is legal in Colorado, but it's still federally illegal.
The federal Constitution was supposed to apply only to the federal government. The 10th Amendment states the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. The purpose of which, it's basically that. The federal government is constrained. The federal government is barred from doing certain things. The states can do their own thing within their states. There are certain constraints like the Supremacy Clause and things like this. But the general idea was federal military or law enforcement, at the time they didn't have law enforcement, could not come and seize your guns. States could do whatever the states wanted.
So what would you say when someone brings up the Supremacy Clause then?
So
Because the Supremacy Clause says it's a provision in Article 6 of Clause 2 of the U.S. Constitution that establishes the Constitution, federal laws, and treaties as the supreme law of the land. This clause mandates that federal laws take priority over any conflicting state laws or state constitutions, ensuring that state judges are bound by federal authority even when the state laws.
Correct. And the initial interpretations were different from what the interpretations are today, which ultimately results in how we enforce these laws. So again, to the Supremacy Clause. The federal government's position, and the reason why this is the anti-federalist position. Basically, they didn't want the federal government coming in and being tyrannical. With the famous line from The Patriot, "Why trade one tyrant 3,000 miles away for 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away?" The interpretation was the federal government is constrained in these things. The rest is reserved to the states. We don't view that way anymore. We now view it that the federal government can impose its federal constitution over the states, and we largely ignore state constitutions. When was the last time anybody in Pennsylvania talked about their constitutional rights?
I have no idea.
They don't. It's largely ignored. We are no longer, after the Civil War, everything changed. Abraham Lincoln decreed a suspension of a constitutional right without the authority to do so, habeas corpus. And Congress, after Abraham Lincoln threatened with violence his enemies and arrested his enemies in Maryland, the members of the state House. He actually arrested them because they were it was a slave state. All of a sudden now, With the southern states removed and the Congress only being his supporters, they retroactively approve his suspension of habeas corpus, despite the fact he never had the authority to do it. After the Civil War, it was no longer the United States are, it was the United States is. And at that moment, the states were largely meaningless. The federal government was the supreme authority over all states. People don't care about their state reps, their state senators. These are a bygone era, man. Nobody in Illinois is like, well, the Illinois Constitution. I mean, they might sometimes in a state lawsuit, but it's almost always national.
Unless, of course, you're the federal government and you want to go into California to check if the laws were followed in the election. In that case, the federal government stays out.
But the reason that it's national is because they're appealing to the Supreme Court. Because, right, the Supreme Court is supposed to dictate what is or is not acceptable under the U.S. Constitution.
So it wasn't
because of the Supremacy Clause, right?
It wasn't always. It was about the federal Constitution. So this is the thing. This is largely after the Civil War when we get to the 13th and 14th Amendments, when there were questions about citizenship, and then we start getting these rulings. There was again, this is where things change. Blasphemy was illegal. The Supreme Court heard a case about whether states could impose these laws, because this is where the question becomes. And this is pre-Civil War, the question began to emerge about what the authority of the federal government was to impose its will. It's an interesting thing. When the purpose of the Constitution, the amendments, I should say, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution itself sets the framework for the federal government. The Bill of Rights constrains government, constrains what the federal government can do, and then it very quickly transformed into it was a power of the federal government over the states, which is an interesting way to, again, so the Bill of Rights were meant to constrain the federal government, correct?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, within 60, 70 years, what was meant to constrain the federal government was used as a cudgel by the federal government to constrain the states.
Do you think the federal government should step in stopping the Chicago Bears from moving to Indiana?
I think Trump should send in the military.
Isn't that ridiculous? So you as a Chicago guy, I mean, they're moving to Indiana. I saw your clip. It went viral. But I mean,
which clip? When I was like,
I think it was one of your YouTube videos where you're in the Bears jersey I watched. I'm just saying, the fact that the Bears are moving, I feel like the federal government should step in with that. I think that's blasphemy.
Well, this is the point about a constitution that I bring up.
They're going to need a bailout.
People of Chicago, I left, right? And I look back with a longing heart, seeing my city get destroyed, and you've got they bring in mass migration, and now you have a body politic. What constitutes the people does not care for our traditions, does not care for the Bears. I got to tell you this. Remember the Bears?
Yeah, the pride
of course
of Illinois.
But it's a national icon. I mean, it was the '85 Bears.
Chris Farley, the Bears.
I grew up with this. But I tell you this now, I'd be willing to bet a large portion of people in Chicago were not in the United States when the Bears was a thing.
What if the Cubs moved to Indiana? What would people do?
Dude, you'd have riots in Japan.
Exactly. I mean, so, but they're going to let the
White Sox.
They're going to let the Bears go to Indiana? It's ridiculous.
Are the White Sox allowed to go?
No. See, the White Sox, bro, the Cubs are an international thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty strange.
Because they were bad for so long.
I don't know why, but people love the Cubs. They're like a premium.
Cubbies.
It's a premium. He's a Chicago guy. It's a premium brand in baseball, even though they were losers for so long. People just love the Cubs.
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year.
Because a Rookie of the Year.
We got to go across the pond, ladies and gentlemen, because it is getting crazy. We got this from the BBC. Man arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after brutal knife attack in Belfast. We've got a lot of updates to go through, but we've got, check this out. This is Glasgow. People, look at this, rural Britannia. Look at these videos. I'm starting y'all off light. It gets crazier. Watch this video. These dudes.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's actually terrible.
So what they're claiming is, let me go back, that people are showing up to the homes of migrants, smashing out their windows. We've got these videos of people marching through the streets. Apparently, it's getting pretty intense where these dudes are pushing out any and all media. They don't know. They don't care. You're out. You're gone because look what they're doing. And they don't want to get busted.
It's like The Purge or something.
It's very Antifa-esque, but in a different political direction. I mean, look at this, dude. But it gets crazier. We got more videos. Check this video out. This is nuts, dude.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Now, these videos are popping up Some of we haven't we got to fact check and verify a lot of this. This one reportedly has dudes in all black running some kind of vehicle checkpoint, and then we've got, I think I got this video here somewhere. This one's particularly brutal. We might have to save this one for the uncensored portion of the show. But take a look at this. Reports that homes of migrants are being set on fire, and there's some reports that I've heard upwards of 90 buildings have been set on fire. I think the people have had enough.
Yeah. I mean,
Would you say, Alex?
look, when
Yeah, but you don't want to hear my opinion. Ireland is the most anti-Semitic country, so they deserve to burn. So anybody that speaks ill against Israel deserves what they get. All right, Phil, go ahead.
Well, when you have a police force that gives preferential treatment to new immigrants.
Well, Henry Novak. I mean,
obviously, this is something that's going on across the whole of the UK. It's going on in Ireland. You know, you're gonna have people reach a tipping point, and apparently, when a guy is being attacked the way that I forget what his name was, attacked like this Irish guy was, they've decided that this is enough. The UK government has the power to change this, but they're terrified of being called racist. And you're going to see a lot of Western countries are going to have to decide that it's worse to have riots and lawlessness than to be called a racist. And until that happens, this stuff is going to continue. It's only going to get worse.
Well, do you think
we got another video, another update? This is from Visegrad. Rioters are breaking into migrant houses in multiple. It's HMOs, houses in multiple occupation. Taxpayer-funded housing for asylum seekers in Belfast, setting them ablaze. Check this video out. So it doesn't seem like, I don't know if we have audio.
When they were in elementary school, do you think they described their country as a melting pot? Could that be why they're more,
Ireland?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Obviously not. So
I don't think they ever did.
No, so I'm saying, do you think that's why they're more nationalistic? Do you think that's why they're actually rioting opposed to America where,
Well, I mean...
I want to just stress this too, because I need to give the context. I know we're already a few minutes in, but for those that don't know what happened, a Sudanese man was attempting to saw off an Irishman's head through the neck with a steak knife. And there are reports that he had suffered severe damage to his eyes. His eyes may have been sawed out with a steak knife, and he was pinned in the ground. And there's a video showing this man sawing at the neck with a steak knife. It is shockingly evil and horrifying, and this is what has set off these riots.
Yeah, I mean, look, we were talking before the show. I wouldn't be surprised if there's old IRA guys that have rifles stashed somewhere that never turned them in. And that is absolutely a possibility, like this kind of stuff. If people don't feel like the government, who has the monopoly on violence, is going to take care of their population, if they're going to have preferential treatment, or they're going to force a foreign population in that is brutalizing the local population, you're going to see the people decide we're going to fight back, specifically in Ireland, who are not, they're not strangers to fighting. They were fighting the English up until 98 or whatever.
This is Irish culture. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is when I was a kid growing up, this is what we heard about all the time with the Troubles.
To your point earlier, you were asking the question: do you think that they're rioting because they're more nationalistic than the U.S. because the U.S. kind of had that idea of the melting pot growing up? But at the time when that still passed in America, there was like somewhat of a monoculture in which people who came to the country, they wanted to be Americans. They had to take the citizenship test. They had to, after a fact, they were seeking a life to become Americans, not to move to America and then ostensibly start their own communities and not assimilate into American culture. But the size of America makes that harder for, that type of what we're seeing here to kind of come to pass, because it's, what's happening in Texas with Karmelo Anthony is vastly different than something going on in Florida, which is vastly different than something going on in Minnesota. This is, it's a much smaller population in Ireland.
Well, Charlie Kirk said immigration without assimilation is an invasion. And I think that's what's happening now in America, is that these people are not trying to assimilate. They're trying to bring their culture over and try to turn, America into little Somalia or little India.
That's the discussion over a constitution. When you have in Minnesota Somalis who explicitly state in their campaigns, "I will send American taxpayer dollars to Somalia," this is not the American body politic. They do not respect your constitution, and I guarantee you, if you were surrounded by a group of those people and they told you to stop interfering with their money transfers, you'd argue, "I have a right under the Constitution to report the news." They'd crack you with a truncheon. You think they care about your rights? You getting attacked by a fly over there?
Yeah.
It also attacked Alex Stein.
It did, but that's because I've been passing
caught a
gas
fly
this whole
once
show. I've
live
been
on the
secretly
show. I
remember
farting,
that.
so that's why. But
We were like, what?
Jewish.
yeah, well, listen, we love Israel, we love Ireland, we love everybody. But I will say that it's actually kind of, this sounds bad, but watching these videos is entertaining because I actually like to see the people actually fight back. I feel like that's our problem is that during COVID.
Why does that sound bad?
Well, I'm saying
because something bad happened
during
to cause
I don't
it.
like to see like a car go into a house because there could be a kid in there or something. Like there are going to be collateral damage when when you're just randomly riding. But I will say this: like during COVID, I lost a lot of faith in humanity because everybody just followed the protocols, and I feel like we need to be more civilly disobedient. Does that mean we like burn down houses? No, not necessarily. But we do need to fight against tyranny. I don't think we do that enough in our country.
There's a reality here in Ireland. This will change things. If the Irish have learned anything from Black Lives Matter, it was fascinating to see that the riots backfired initially, and support for BLM cratered following the mass riots. However, politically, every institution became petrified of Black Lives Matter. They were firing people for saying naughty words because they were scared someone's going to come in with a crowbar unless they bend to the whims of the violent. As I love to say, do you think that Carl Benjamin would ever lead a bunch of classical liberals or post-liberals with crowbars and pitchforks to XHQ because someone got censored?
He's got 4 kids. No,
never going to happen. He's gonna complain like a gentleman online and say, oh, "How dare I say? How dare you ban me?" Antifa will burn your house down.
Yes, Sargon of Akkad will not do that, but I feel like we shouldn't be burning people's house down. But like I said earlier, we should be more civilly disobedient. I actually like to see us, bucking.
Governments shouldn't be protecting criminals like the guy that got stabbed, the poor kid that got stabbed. They were protecting the actual assailant.
Yeah, Henry Novak said, "I'm bleeding, I'm hurt,"
Yeah.
and they put handcuffs on him. And
I don't think you were, mate.
This kind of stuff.
Stabbed. I don't think you were, mate.
That kind of stuff leads to this.
Yeah, rightfully so, though.
I think Gen Z, we are about to have in the next 10 years white identitarian politics, the likes of which the left cannot comprehend, and they were warned of this.
They were warned of it, but that's what they want.
I don't think so. They were memes where it was like teenagers were saying it was like a paintbrush meme where a kid's like being yelled at by the teacher for being white, and then he goes and hangs out with a bunch of white kids, and then they're like, "You're racist," and they're like, "Cool, whatever." What I'm seeing now when I go on Instagram and I'm scrolling through, bro, if you want 1 million views, racism. Like,
you're talking about Chud the Builder?
No. I'm talking about like some dude sitting at his computer and he goes, "So I just saw this video," and then he plays the video next to him, and it's something like a black dude robbing a liquor store, and then he makes a quick racist quip. And maybe racist isn't the right word, but racial quip. They're like, young people are blowing the F up on TikTok and Instagram by doing this. Like Gypsy Crusader, he's got clips like crazy with millions of views.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
and he literally just says he does not like black people.
Yeah, he has like a gun that says the N-word, and he actually has some black fans, surprisingly. But.
There's one viral video that I just saw on Instagram, and it's like some woman, and she's wearing Nyan Cat. You know Nyan Cat?
Yeah.
It's a Pop-Tart cat with a rainbow.
I saw.
And then
this
he
video.
goes, "What's on your shirt?" And she goes, "Oh, it's Nyan Cat." And he's like, "What's that?" And she's like, it's like an internet thing. It's like, I thought it was like a pride thing. And then she says, "No, I hate the F." And then she
I saw that video. Yeah.
It's gone viral. It's crazy.
She
And then
zings.
it like freezes, and then it like plays music. Dude.
Why?
Yeah. Is that what that's what it played, right?
Tonight.
You
Yeah.
saw it too?
Oh, yeah, I
Bro,
saw
this
it.
video's gone mad viral.
hilarious.
Young people are straight up like, "Yeah, we watch the news all day, and we're watching like, bro, we're watching what's happening in Ireland. We're watching the Karmelo Anthony stuff." We warned about this, but you were saying, Phil, you think they want it to happen.
Yep.
I don't know that they want it to happen. I think they would prefer it if white people just had white guilt forever so they could loot.
Yeah, the goal is to awaken a critical racial consciousness, right? The whole critical race theory stuff, that didn't go away. The goal was to make people aware of their race, and they wanted as many people that are white to feel bad about it and to basically do what your awfuls are doing and start voting in ways that are progressive. If you look at the way that women are tilting to the left, it's all because of this kind of this kind of critical race theory stuff. You see young men not going the same way because young men are far more comfortable being disagreeable. This is all Jordan Peterson stuff.
These viral Instagram and TikTok videos are what's going to start making women go the other direction. Dude, it is wild to see. I saw a video with like 2 million views of it's like some chick sitting in a room on a computer and she's wearing like fake cat ears. It wasn't AI, by the way. And then like plays a video and then makes racist joke. Like who's that guy with the mustache? He's got the old phone behind him. You know what I'm talking about, right?
With a mustache and an old phone.
Yeah, he's the woman problems. Is that what it's called?
I don't know much about him, but I'm aware of him. I think I've
never seen these videos.
I don't think so.
What's the guy's? What is it?
Woman problems. I don't know.
What's the guy? The chat knows who I'm talking about. I don't follow these guys.
They like January 6th. They want more January 6th.
Someone in the chat's got to tell me because they know I'm talking about. He's got a mustache, and it's like woman problems or something. Someone's going to post in the chat.
You believe videos like that are going to end up affecting women? And it's going to push them towards racial consciousness.
Not him.
Well, we got to get women they have to radicalize women.
I don't think it's going to happen. Like they're too susceptible to in-group bias, and if the other women in the group aren't following
woman propaganda. That's what it is.
Oh, duh, yeah.
He does videos where he'll play a video of like a black guy robbing a 7-Eleven, and then he'll look up and he'll make a joke. He'll make like a.
You're right. Joke. He got like 1 million followers. I know.
People have been
really
copying that format like crazy and getting massive viewership. I remember we talked about it on the show when Nick Fuentes had a video with something like 60 million views. I'm on Instagram. I see this video nonstop, and I look at it to see how many. It's got 400,000 likes.
Was it the Your Body My Choice video?
No, it's the video where he says. He said any responsible person would not bring their family near black people. And I'm not saying that an individual black person is bad. I'm saying that when you look at neighborhood crime statistics, you can see that these are high crime neighborhoods. And I talked about, I said, listen, I know where Nick is from. Nick Fuentes and this is really wild. How old is Nick?
26.
26. I'm 40. That means he was born and he was growing up. When I was 14, I lived in this neighborhood till I was 18. We lived only a few miles away from each other. Here's another wild twist for you. Jimmy Dore lived 3 blocks from me.
What?
No joke.
So you, Jimmy, and Nick all lived like within a 3-mile radius?
Me and Jimmy Dore lived 3 blocks away in Chicago, and Nick was about 3 miles away in the western suburbs because I was on the southwest side. So just you go down Archer, First Avenue, and then you can get to LaGrange. And I know exactly what Nick saw and why he says these things because I grew up 2 blocks from the LeClaire Courts, famous gang territory in Chicago, all black. So we understood there was a racial divide. That when the people from north of 47th came south into the white mixed area, you knew they were not coming to be friends with anybody. You knew it was we are against you, and they'd mug you, they'd rob you, or there'd be gang violence. And if you walked over there, the cops would arrest you, and they'd say the only reason a white boy comes up here is to buy drugs. So imagine being Nick and growing up only a few miles away from this. Everybody in the neighborhood knows this. Nick starts making videos pointing out what tons of these young white people are seeing and being told they can't say. So you got to understand, growing up on the south side of Chicago with racial division, maybe due to redlining or whatever you might want to argue, literally, if a white person goes into a black neighborhood, you're facing violence and threats.
The worst gun violence in America.
Then you go to school and you are told white people are the problem. And if you say otherwise, you're suspended and you get in trouble. Nick Fuentes starts talking about this, and young people are like, he's right about all of it. It is unfortunate, but there's a reason why this messaging has become massively viral on Instagram, and they're getting tens of millions of views. And my point only is Gen Z, Gen Alpha, it is going to be a wild political ride. Like, Gen Z is only in their late 20s now. Once they get to their late 30s, we're going to start seeing Gen Z in politics. Imagine what happens. Here, I'm going to let people in on a big secret as it pertains to the economy.
Tucker Carlson's running for president?
He announced that?
No, but
No.
I thought that was going to be a secret.
Those that lead become rich. It's a tendency. My point is this. If you are a young person and you are a leader in your generation, let's say you're 20 years old, and it's not that you command hordes of 20-year-olds, it's not that you have a big Instagram following. I'm not saying that because obviously if you did, you'd already be rich. I'm saying that at 20 years old, you are trying to build something. You are developing something. Your peers around you are working at grocery stores or getting entry-level jobs, and you're trying to start a business. You're trying to learn to code. You're trying to build something. Those people naturally just end up, tendency, not guarantee, to have accumulated wealth. My point ultimately is this. Nick Fuentes, I believe, when he's in his late 30s, will probably be worth $100 million. He's probably already a millionaire. I think that's fair to say.
He's definitely a millionaire.
He's definitely a millionaire.
When they freeze his assets, he had $500,000 in the bank.
Right, and that's
someone
liquid.
gifted him like $1 million in Bitcoin.
Exactly.
He's definitely a millionaire.
Imagine what happens when he's older. His fans have jobs and careers and more skills and are making more money and are contributing to and promoting his show. Nick Fuentes is going to be in his 40s with a net worth of $100 million. But you guys got to understand about a net worth of $100 million. I'm not saying he's going to have that cash liquid. I'm saying from now, him being a millionaire, he's going to start buying things. Those assets will appreciate. In 10 years, he'll own probably several properties. I imagine he's going to have a financial advisor. He's going to have a lot of money in T-bills as well as in the S&P. And he's going to have growing assets. His wealth is not going to disappear. It's only going to accumulate. What do you think happens in let's just say, what is he, 26? You said 27?
I think somebody in the chat said 27. Yeah, but I thought he was 27.
So let's say
there,
10 years. He's 37 years old, worth millions. His net worth may be 100 million. It's not liquid, and it could, and a lot of it could be like business net worth, like 10x, like 5x EBITDA or something like that. Let's say he's got, 5 million coming in this year, and he has no reason to spend it. Who's he supporting politically? Where is that money going to go? What media ventures? Nick will start spending that money towards what he believes. You are going to start seeing miniature Nick Fuentes popping up. He's going to start putting money into promoting new media channels and outlets. This is going to be economically impactful. You cannot stop this. It is the fact that it's already big on Instagram and TikTok and young people are already in this. It's going to get huge, man.
I mean, I don't think that there's much of a disagreement about that.
I'm not saying there's a disagreement. I'm saying let's think about what 10 years from now looks like considering that.
Yeah, I mean, he's already got a huge influence on the culture. Like you see him, like all the memes that you talk about on Instagram, you can't scroll through Instagram without seeing some kind of, cut with Nick saying something or whatever. So, I mean, he's going to have an outsized influence on the culture. And I think that most people kind of have to come to a reckoning with that. And that's one of the reasons why I say you're going to see a lot of people looking at being called racist, and they're just not going to care anymore. I've been saying that.
Yeah, but
I've been saying that.
We're saying all this, though. You guys are going to call me crazy. I think it's a strong possibility we get a vice president AOC and President Gavin Newsom soon. So, we act like everybody's going to be so based. I think it might.
Why do you think
the pendulum might swing the other way just because people aren't happy with
that. Doesn't make Nick go away.
No. I think that makes Nick stronger, honestly, because it's like how
maybe
Biden's presidency made Trump even more popular when he ran in.
Let's talk about it. Here's a story from the New York Post. Bombshell photo unveils damning Nithya Raman link with homeless voters as fury erupts over LA ballot count. So you got this image where Nithya Raman signed off on a grant as a district council member, $600,000 to a homeless shelter that the New York Post claims registered 185 voters to its address, or had 185 homeless registered voters. Now, I don't think that 185 voters changes anything, and I don't think she gave the money to them to get voters. I think if I were to make an assessment, she gave the money to them either because she's dumb as a box of rocks or evil. We call this the homeless industrial complex in LA. They funnel taxpayer dollars to shelters with no beds, to shelters that don't help people. And I don't trust her for 2 seconds that she did not know this, because it is a check from 2023. And everybody in 2011, when I was working down, 2010, when I was working down there, knew exactly what was going on. And the shelters were lying, claiming they were full when nobody was in them. Ultimately, the point is this. They are cheating, but we were just talking in the previous segment. You said, Alex, that we might get a vice president AOC and a Gavin Newsom. The reason why I say I don't think so is because California has been shocking to the conscience for a lot of Americans. Mm-hmm. More prominently is Watson v. RNC, which is going to be ruled on in a couple of weeks. And this, if ruled on by SCOTUS narrowly, everyone agrees SCOTUS is likely going to rule in favor of the defendant, which is that you cannot count votes after Election Day.
Even with the post date or whatever on June 2nd.
So the argument is you can't count ballots after Election Day.
Even if it's marked that day.
No matter what. Yeah. So the Supreme Court seems to be holding the position in oral arguments that the congressional law, the law passed by Congress, is that we are prescribed a single day for an election. If they rule narrowly, they will simply say, once election day is over, you can't count ballots anymore. I don't think that's going to happen. I think at least there is a decent probability. I would lean towards, and I'm crossing my fingers on this one, they rule more broadly and argue that early voting and mail-in voting violate the law because they extend voting day into voting month. And if voting day can be only one day, a day is prescribed, then ballots can only be issued day of and counted day of. And if that happens, Democrats never win again, unless they dramatically moderate and become so akin to what MAGA is that MAGA Republicans are like, oh, Democrats are now calling for deportations, no transing the kids. They want to lower taxes. Otherwise, they would not be competitive. They are only winning in California for this reason. Check this out. DSA-LA.org. This is the game they play. This is cheating and this is evil. The DSA is advising people to go to people's homes, confirm strong candidate support. If voting for other candidate, thank them and move on. They're not helping people vote. No, they're helping get power for themselves. It gets better. Then you ask them, have you received your ballot? Great, will you find it? Then you ask them to vote 3 times. Then you explain why your candidate is the one they have to vote for. Then you fill out their ballot with them. Then you take their ballot and drop it off. And here's the best part. These people are getting paid to do it. I don't know if the DSA is funding it, but there are organizations that pay a salary to activists in California to go and literally fill out the ballot with them and bring it in for them.
Tim, James O'Keefe literally just did a story where they actually charged the woman that was doing this, where they were paying people like
$2 to $3.
$2 to $3. And they would just get a ballot, get them to register.
There's videos
to vote.
of it.
Yeah, I mean,
where homeless
James
people are like, we're about to get
camera,
paid.
Literally on camera.
He's got it on his page?
Yeah, he's been tweeting about it like crazy. Go to his Twitter right now, or X. So like we have concrete evidence that they can pay a homeless person nothing, like you said, $2 to $3, and they're going to let you vote however that person that's paying you the money wants you to vote.
Yeah, he's got breaking LA election fraud caught.
Our ongoing investigation, rather. We passed that numerous times, and it's the shelter where you see dozens of people in tents, encampments, doing drugs, and we have to ask them directly how many of them have voted, and I want to know, are their names registered on some of these voter rolls?
Yeah, and they do that ballot petition scam right out front of Midnight Mission too.
Yeah,
it's just insane. The way I see it, that
let's find the actual point to which instead of conversation.
20 and then
cameras around.
Oh, there's a.
I'm not sure this video is actually them showing
the one. It's like this black woman.
Right.
Covered it where it's that one right there. Where that's exactly.
Fraudulent petitioners on Skid Row are now paying the homeless to forge names, forge addresses, and forge signatures of registered voters.
So, do you want to sign? Okay. The first one.
I mean, this isn't this is organized crime. Okay. Like, this is very organized.
Joseph.
Wow.
Albright. What are you using? Teresa.
So I'm gonna give you your address to write.
Oh, okay.
Directions.
Okay, yeah.
Robert.
Quickly becoming a widespread scheme that can be found on almost every street corner in downtown Los Angeles. Fraudulent petitioners on Skid Row are now paying the homeless
crazy.
To forge.
Well, we knew that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's crazy. Here's the full thing. Let's just jump ahead and grab a piece of it.
Eat his ass.
I don't have a California address.
Find somebody, one of your homies or something like that, want to come bring them to us.
If I bring them to you, then I could get a cigarette too, though?
It really irritates.
But why are you so fucking hostile,
This is my petition. This is my petition. It's not even his. You asking the wrong nigga. This my shit. So you asking the wrong nigga anyway. So
if I just start new, I come back and I just tell you.
Let's go down the street, bro, before we move you down the street. Yeah, it's really like that, bro. I knock you out looking right at me.
Oh my God.
They got assaulted.
Why are you trying to be like that, bro? I just want a cigarette.
They won't knock your ass out. Bitch ass nigga, don't come over here again. I'm gonna beat your ass.
Black Lives Matter.
Previously, in 2019, 9 individuals were prosecuted by the Los Angeles DA for this exact crime. They were exchanging cigarettes and cash for petition signatures, but none of it was on video, and it wasn't captured to this extent.
Wow.
There were 14 counts, primarily focused around payment for signatures, a violation of that California Elections Code 18603, claiming they had, quote, offered or gave money or other valuable consideration to another in exchange for his or her signature. So we found it particularly ironic that 2 police officers sitting nearby weren't even aware that this was a state or federal crime. Instead, Officer Maravilla of the LAPD dismissed it as a, quote, civil lawsuit.
Do you know a lot of these people here that are making homeless sign petitions and paying cash for it?
I haven't seen them. I mean, I've seen when they signed some type of paperwork, but I didn't know what they were doing. And I saw them at that, right here at the light over here in the back.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it was for. Like maybe like 2 weeks ago, I saw them signing for something, but I didn't know if they were getting like money in exchange.
Yeah, I think they're getting like $2-3 from what I observed.
But this is not. These are not votes. These are signatures for petitions and things like this.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. They're registering people to vote. So, I mean, it's just
Right.
political cause.
Because what then happens is some of these are voter registrations, and then a mail-in voter arrives at a homeless shelter, and then they can come and
the
harvest
address
them.
that they put on there, and it's their address.
Non-profit. I mean, they're signing it. It's a consensual. It's more of a civil thing.
Oh my God.
Like they're not telling them no, and maybe if they promise them something and they don't get it, it would be like a civil lawsuit type thing.
The law enforcement officers sitting nearby on Skid Row every single day don't know the California laws and plead ignorance. It begs the question, what are they even doing? And directly across the street from all of this is a homeless shelter called the Weingard Center, a, quote, comprehensive human services organization committed to removing barriers that keep people from housing. The 990 tax return shows the Weingard Center received $112 million through various grants in 2022, their latest public return, and that they have over $800 million in net assets.
Wow.
The Weingard Center also pays their executives between $400,000 and $600,000 a year. Weingard has been missing their audit deadlines by an alarmingly large and increasing margin, 21 months late last year, with 8 negative findings. An article in LAist states that one of LA's biggest homeless service providers has been awarded over $100 million in taxpayer funds while failing to comply with federal audit mandates. The audits show multiple failures by Weingard Center to properly account for taxpayer money that were not remedied from one year to the next. One of Weingard's primary funding sources is LASA, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. We couldn't help but wonder, what would people that work for LASA say about this voter fraud in Skid Row when directly asked? We attended this special commission meeting to find out.
Do you work for LASA?
We spoke to Kathy Linga, who says she's seen the people petitioning for money and teaches the prospective fraudster on how to use plausible deniability and to practice ignorance of the law as an excuse.
I think I want to get him some little cash right away. They were giving out cash for him to sign petitions.
Okay. So let me just have you meet Brian.
That'd be
if
great.
He can't help you, then go to the next, go to Skid Row and see if there's people out there with clipboards.
With clipboards and see if they will give him the cash for the petitions.
Yes.
And do you think that's okay? I don't want him to get in trouble though. Do you think it's okay for him to sign?
What, I mean,
do you think that's legal?
We don't even, if they say ignorance is no excuse for the law. But a lot of times I have to say I didn't know. I had no idea.
Yeah.
How
Oh
would
my
I know?
God.
I don't have a
I have
TV,
no
I
idea.
don't have a home. My cell phone only works half the time. How would I know that's against the law? And I can't afford a lawyer to ask.
Oh, that would be what he should
He
say.
should say.
Yeah.
Somebody's offering you money and you're hungry.
Another Weingard employee, intake coordinator Jason Warren, tells our undercover journalist exactly where and when to find the petitioners who are breaking the law.
I wanted to see if we can get where the petitions that are being signed to get cash so he can get some couple of dollars. Do you know where they are located?
I don't know where those is at. Most times they be outside in the front, or you got to go to the GR building where those at. The GR is going to be on 3rd and 3rd place in Alameda.
What is GR?
GR is General Relief.
Oh,
said. Most of them be right across the street under that tree. You can check with them Monday through Friday.
Warren also claims the petitioners have to gather a certain amount of signatures and then provide proof to show that they aren't stealing the money, which is apparently provided to them by a higher authority, according to Jason Warren.
But I don't want him to get into any trouble or anything. Is that okay for him to accept cash for signing petitions?
It's okay because they're not going to go through his stuff or his stuff. They just want to sign him up to get a name. And when they give the money out, they got to go back and tally up if they stealing the money or not. So they got to have signatures.
Spencer Pratt needs to be sharing this clip right now. Like, Spencer Pratt needs to get involved with this.
Shout out to James O'Keefe, consistently hitting it out of the park. I mean, that's wild. Look at this. That's crazy, dude. So anyway, to the point, I recommend everybody check out James's like the full video. But in your comment about whether Newsom and AOC can win, I think let me do this. Have you seen the latest Inside Elections breakdown? Inside Elections is considered to be one of the most accurate pollsters. According to Inside Elections, Republicans only got to win one toss-up to maintain control of the House in November, largely because of the redistricting efforts. So if you look at, what is this? Why am I not getting the, where's that stupid thing? I want to switch it to Cook. There we go. Wait, disappeared on me. I want to look up Cook Political Report, but it's gone. I wonder why they did that. Well, this is the Inside Election map. Cook and Sabato have it at 213 and 212. So they would need either, that would be 6 or 5 or 6. But according to Inside Elections, it's just 1. I think the redistricting efforts pushed things dramatically in favor of Republicans. Mm-hmm. And when SCOTUS drops this ruling, dude, Watson v. RNC could make this a 230 Republican, 230, 205 or something. Was that what it be?
Wonderful.
Yeah, I don't see why the SCOTUS would not rule broadly on this.
I know, but even if the conservatives are in power, we can't get the SAVE Act passed in the Senate. So, I mean, do we think that all of a sudden we're going to get...
We don't. I wonder if the reason why, Trump goes after Massey, but not Thune, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because they know Watson's coming down and they don't need to take the political flack over it. When Watson v. RNC drops in a couple of weeks, it might be the end of California is turning red. They can't ballot harvest anymore. And here's, guys, you understand this. Watson v. RNC is a Mississippi court case. You know why?
Because that's where all the race stuff was?
No, because the Mississippi state knows they can intentionally throw the case. The state of Mississippi, so listen, if you filed a lawsuit against California over mail-in votes, and it was California v. RNC or whatever,
they would fight really hard.
They would use all of their resources to go to war. Mississippi's going to go, oh no, our lawyers are just so dumb, we made a mistake. And SCOTUS is going to be like, no more mail-in votes nationwide.
I spent a lot of time in Jackson, Mississippi and Oxford, Mississippi, and that makes sense. Yeah, they don't want to fight. They're, and
well, I mean,
there's racial tension there, and the white people are in power.
But they're a red state. They're gonna say, send our solicitor to SCOTUS and have them throw it. We want this gone. We want blue states to lose this ability. SCOTUS rules broadly, and my fingers are crossed. They say early voting and universal mail-in voting violate the law because they allow for elections outside of Election Day, and the law passed in 1945 says you get 1 day for an election. I don't see how else they could rule on this. And when that happens, it's done. It's going to be 230 Republican. So I'm just going to say this. Earlier today, I put $100 on Republicans to sweep and $100 on Republican to control. I sold those positions before putting up my videos today because I did not want to influence the prediction markets. So I sold my position so that I could not benefit from it, and I took a loss. Because I'm like, when this hammer drops, those are going to skyrocket in value. I don't want to see any profit from that, so I'll take a loss now, full disclosure, because I think people are going to start buying for Republicans with this Watson v. People don't know about this case. No one's been talking about the fact that they're about to rule on shutting down mail-in voting.
When is this going to be?
So they say end of June to early July.
The
nuclear bomb.
The big cases tend to come out at the end of June. And this is going to be one that has a lot of impact.
And it's going to be just before the midterms. So here's the thing. If SCOTUS really has, these conservatives decided to join the fray, They are going to intentionally draw this out as long as they can just before the midterm so that Democrats have no ability to pivot. It's going to be nuts, man. Spencer Pratt would have won. If they say only votes on election day count, Spencer Pratt got second place.
Yeah, I mean, this shouldn't be some kind of it shouldn't be some kind of big controversy, right? Like the whole point of having an election day is to have one day where it happens. Like just get the
But here's the challenge. What if they say fine, but that's federal elections and primary elections and state elections we can do however we want?
I mean, it's
Supreme Court still could go nuclear and say, with respect to state primaries, they must follow the established law of a single day for elections.
Is that
like they could go nuts?
I mean, like they're not even going to go into California now. Like the federal government isn't going to go into California now, even though they've seen what they consider to be observable cheating.
They might not need to.
Yeah.
With Watson v. RNC, Trump and Thune and all them might be sitting there being like, we don't have to move until we know what the SCOTUS is going to do, and SCOTUS very likely is going to rule in our favor.
The media is going to go into overdrive and how they're going to paint it in the most negative way possible. Of
course, but who cares?
It's going to be crazy.
Who cares? California will turn red.
Yeah.
That's going to be nuts. They will not be able to win.
It would be an absolute joy to see.
Well, it's only a few weeks away. Few weeks. You think SCOTUS will do it? There's like this tiny little fly.
I got one of them, so it's a different one than the one I got.
There's like 3 of them.
Yeah.
3 little tiny flies.
They're probably
maybe they're screw worms.
Probably NSA bugs.
Oh, the screw worm's bad, but actually there was some doctor that said there's some really cheap like over the counter cream you can put on and it kills the screw worm.
What if? Oh, we got breaking news. Graham Plattner has won his primary.
Yeah, we love Graham.
Why?
Well, first of all, his thoughts on anti-war, like Ro Khanna said, and the fact that
he has a Totenkopf on his chest.
That's awesome, right? Do we not like that? Tattoos are cool. Look at all Phil's tattoos. You don't like tattoos now? Now you're anti-tattoo.
None of mine are Totenkopfs. None of my tattoos are Nazi tattoos.
Well, I have one swastika tattoo. Like, I'm a Nazi all of a sudden. I mean, I got it because I thought it was like a cool symbol, and I was into yoga, and that used to be a yoga symbol.
I'm a fan of Graham Plattner for his willingness to tell women to shut up and do as they're told. It's a great candidate for Democrats to vote for, right?
Yeah,
he should be a Republican.
Well, I thought it was awesome where he said that
a woman abusing Nazi. That sounds like what Democrats claim Republicans.
Tim, you don't think it's cool every time you see a porta potty you have to masturbate? I feel like I can empathize with that.
What he said?
Yeah. Are you kidding? Yeah, dude. Literally, he was sending a DM saying that he posted it. He said that every time that he was in a porta potty and he smelled the blue aroma from the blue pea sauce, whatever you call it.
He also said he wanted to rape guys.
He did.
He did.
Just for dominance.
I mean,
not in a gay way.
She said in a sexual way, but not in a gay way.
I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't think he said not in a sexual way.
No,
bro, it's kind of weird that he's a gay, women abusing, racist Nazi Democrat. It's like,
and he has a lot of support.
Yeah, they love him.
Yeah.
I'm happy. So James Tellerico apparently he came out and said no more transing kids or something like that.
Did he?
Well, he was in 2023 though. He was arguing in favor of cross-sex hormones for kids. Like he was actually fighting against how Texas was outlawing it. So if he's trying to like change his tune now,
did he? I saw that on Fox. I didn't
he's eating like barbecue now, and he was accused of being a vegan. And all. I mean, he's so fake. But a lot of people. I'll say this. Ken Paxton does have a little bit of baggage. I like Ken. I'm friends with Ken. But he has much more baggage because I think there's been now 3 different staffers that worked for Tallarico that said that they had a sexual relationship with him. So the guy, he might look like a little twerp, but he's a horn dog. So, I mean, Tallarico is much worse than Ken Paxton if it comes to, like, sexual baggage.
Well,
yeah, I don't know what his exact quote is. Ken Paxton has accused him of flip-flopping. But let me see if I can find.
So is he saying now he's against
flip-flopping on what?
Transgender
on transgender kids.
Isn't that just called finding your way back to the center?
Yeah, James Tellerico says he opposes gender reassignment surgery for minors. I'm very happy to hear that. It's fantastic. Next time any Democrat comes up and says you're a trans, I'll be like, whoa. I'm in the Tallarico side. I'm with James Tellerico on this.
Well, did you see the viral video of J-Lo? She was doing that podcast where they do like confessions on the subway, and she's like, "You're not a New Yorker unless you're born in New York. Like the only way you can be from New York is if you're born in New York." Yep. And J-Lo has 2 trans daughters, and so that's the joke. It's like so. You're only a New Yorker if you're born a New Yorker, but if you're born a boy, you can all of a sudden become a girl. It's like her.
Or if you're born in Mexico, you can never be an American.
Trans daughters.
It's like it just doesn't make
trans daughters or sons.
What I don't know.
Are they guys?
Vice versa. Who knows?
Hoo-hoos or ha-has? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know how trans her kids are, but
I'm
I know
not
they're
really
trans,
I was joking.
So all I know is this, though. It's funny because these people are oblivious to their own opinions. Like,
you know what's funny? I'm sorry. I was gonna say I feel bad for Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's kids because no one knows who they are, so they assume every one of them is trans. Because there was that one kid who was trans. Remember?
I do remember they had a kid that was trans.
They had a daughter that was like, I'm a guy now. And then like a couple years ago, like 2 years ago, she was like, I'm not a guy anymore, I'm a girl. So now the actual other kids, there was a news story about one of their kids was a guy, and everybody was like, that's a woman.
Oh, yeah. They all think they're trans now. Well, it's weird that Megan Fox has, I think, 3 trans kids. I mean, it's just weird that they
But are they
use them like
but the
social clout?
No, but the worst thing is like, aren't some of them adopting like little African kids and then transing them?
I think it was Madonna that did that. I'm not kidding.
No, Angelina Jolie did as well.
Oh yeah,
she adopted a black kid and then transed him.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Look, man.
It's so like
evil,
like mad scientist stuff. Like, well, let's do experiments on the little African kid and mix up his hormones and see what happens.
Well, it's like there was a time, I don't know if you guys saw the movie The Blind Side, where America was a great country when you were the rich family and you adopted the black kid and tried to make him a good athlete, right? Like try to get him to the NFL or NBA. Like that's actually a good story. But now you have the rich people, they adopt a black kid and they try to turn him into a homosexual. So it's like we've lost the plot. If we could go back to trying to turn these kids into premier athletes, America would be great again.
It says Google says she does not have an adoptive trans kid.
I think she has adoptive kids, but I don't know about the.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. So I didn't
yeah, Google says not correct.
I feel like for the most part now, people it's the same thing when they accuse like literally like, well, if they're in Hollywood, they're a pedo. Just by definition of being in Hollywood. So now they're like, oh, they're Hollywood.
Wait, was it
celebrity.
Charlize Theron?
Charlize Theron, yes.
She has a adopted black trans. It was her. You got it wrong. It wasn't Angelina. It was Charlize.
Charlize Theron. Okay.
You did
They're
see
all
that
the same, though,
three of Brad Pitt's kids like got rid of their they went and took their mother's name. They don't want to be associated.
Charlize Theron adopted a black boy and then put him in a dress.
That's evil. That's so disgusting.
Here we go. Wait. Like, black people are pissed. Check this out. Atlanta Black Star folks have questions about how Charlize Theron is raising her adopted son because she put him in a dress and said he was a girl.
Right.
I feel like this bitch is doing some weird science experiment on this kid, trying to do the whole nature versus nurture thing like they did in the 60s, which failed. I don't like it at all. I agree.
It's Hollywood.
She's experimenting on African kids, man.
Hollywood luxury beliefs. This raises her status in the community in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Sure, but like, I'm just saying it comes off like mad scientist horror movie stuff,
Well, see,
some white lady like kidnaps a couple black kids, like, I'm going to turn you into girls. And they're like, stop. And she's like injecting with hormones.
That would be actually a hit movie. That probably won an Oscar. But I will say, this.
No,
though.
because it would have to be a good thing.
Well,
like, here's what actually
they would
happens.
portray it as
Hold
a
on.
good thing.
Yeah.
No. No. The horror movie that would win an Oscar is a woman adopts 2 black kids who ask to be trans, so she gives them the shots, and then an evil mad scientist says, no, I'm going to take these away and kidnap you and make you be boys.
What was the movie? No Wire Hangers, I forget, like where the girl gets...
Mommy Dearest.
Yeah, like that. But
what was that?
Mommy Dearest is it's kind of a scary movie, like, where this, abusive mom, where I think they could, extrapolate that, where you have Charlize Theron transing her kids. But I will say the nature versus nurture argument is correct. But then when it comes to Karmelo Anthony, went to an affluent neighborhood school, Frisco Memorial, and still stabbed a guy in the heart. So it's kind of like...
No, the nurture part is the wrong part.
Maybe if Karmelo was put on cross-sex hormones, it would have dropped his, like, he'd be, like, more docile. And
Yeah. Get rid of the testosterone. No, the nurture part is wrong. Like people are born with predispositions. You can affect those predispositions by the way they're raised and stuff. But if you've got a short temper, that's something that you're born with.
Yeah,
if you have like Jordan Peterson talks about this stuff all the time. If you have high conscientiousness, that's a born-in trait. It's not you're not going to learn how to do that. Or if you do, it's going to be something that you are an adult. You realize that you don't have high conscientiousness, and you're going to put a lot of work into changing your habits. But it's not something like the idea that you can just be born and I think it was the Moody guy, the first trans doctor or whatever. There was a child
Money?
That money, yeah, the money. A child was born, a male child was born, had a botched circumcision, so they cut off his penis and balls, and they said, okay, we're going to raise you as a girl. Ended up committing suicide because...
So did his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a total mess. But that's because we do have innate certain characteristics, and if you're a boy, you are a boy. And
the left argues that case to prove transgenderism.
That's insane.
They argue that because they took a boy who identified as a boy and forced him to live as a girl, proving that people have innate gender within them. And that people who know that their gender is a girl being forced to live as a boy will result in suicides, just like in the John Money case.
That's
well, with Chloe Cole, that is, and it's just not her story, but that is constantly what the doctors do. If the parents are against their kids transitioning, they say, "Oh, your kid's going to commit suicide." That's like the #1 manipulation tactic to get parents to.
What they're really saying is spay and neuter your kids.
Yeah, and that's like the overall conspiracy is they want us all sexually confused. They want everybody on cross-sex hormones so that they have atrophied penises so that we keep the population down while...
You know why?
Because climate change.
It's because the Asgardians, or Nordics as people refer to them, or some call them the Arids, who live beyond the ice wall, are like, look,
you say that jokingly, but
the inner lands are becoming too populous. So we've got to reduce. It's like you got a chicken coop and you got 100 chickens, and you're like, "That's too many chickens."
Dude, I'm an ice wall expert, so let's not even get into that.
Okay. Homeboy wouldn't even go. I said, "I will pay for your chicken."
I don't want to go to Antarctica because I don't like the snow. I'm from Texas.
Oh,
but listen, I'm always going to hear about Antarctica. But I do think that you see, like Bill Gates during the pandemic, say, "Oh, we need to reduce the population by 15% because of climate change." These people are so sick; they actually want us to not procreate as much because they actually think that would be better for the climate. I do believe
there's also a lot of them that
I don't think
there's also a lot of them.
Like Bill Gates has said that on the record.
I do not believe these people think climate change is real.
Oh,
you don't buy beachfront property on Martha's Vineyard if you think
Barack Obama,
the water level is going to rise. In
Bill Gates, I think, has the biggest house in San Diego or something.
It's like on the water. Like, climate change is going to come. I better. One argument is they're fighting climate change so they can have their beachfront property, but realistically, that doesn't make sense because you're not going to win whatever stupid fight they're engaging in. And even Greta Thunberg is now on the "we need oil" train.
Yeah,
she is.
I mean,
she goes, "We need to get more oil to Cuba. The people need it."
It does actually kind of work out if you're somebody at that level of wealth who can afford to have a beachfront property, but not have to worry about whether it gets washed away or not. They're like, look, I don't need it if it gets washed away. That's fine.
You go to Bill Gates and say, if you believe in climate change, why'd you buy a $10 million mansion on the water? And he goes, because I'm a billionaire. What do I care?
Yeah. Well, but I'm such a conspiracy theorist. I go to the Georgia Guidestones, which were knocked down, where they want to reduce the population to like 500 million people.
You're wrong. The Georgia Guidestones were created around the time there was a fear of a nuclear apocalypse, and a bunch of wealthy donors got together to say, if we all die, how does civilization restart? Let's build Guidestones to tell them what to do. Now, that being said, the ideas on it to keep the population at 500 million or less, I think, is a hint towards they want less people.
Yeah.
But again, the purpose of the Guidestones was built out of fear of a nuclear
Everything
apocalypse.
gets destroyed.
That's why it had like mathematical equations. It had like a sundial or whatever, and it had like base languages on it and stuff like that. So that people
got knocked down.
Some car like slammed into it, right, or something like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then they say, well, if you watch documentaries on it, it was Ted Turner that paid for it to get built.
But you know why it got destroyed, right?
Well, I think people were going there and
the reason it was destroyed was because the powers that be don't want us to have access to translations and basic math if they EMP blast us back to the Stone Age.
It's also why they're not going to teach your kids cursive.
So let's. I want to make this.
Is that true? They don't teach cursive?
Yeah, it's gone.
Oh, wow.
I want to make sure this is clear for everybody. Let's say the Adam and Eve theory is real. Every 6,500 years there is a pole shift and the planet flips 90 degrees, causing a massive flood that wipes out civilization.
Well, there was a flood at one point.
Of course. There's been many floods and there's been big, but let's say Adam and Eve. It's a conspiracy theory, but it was a book. I believe it originated from the CIA, or a story that originated from the CIA, where they claimed this was the case. And now there's a lot of people who believe we may be on the verge of it. Let's say that's true. The powers that be have underground bases, space stations, and they're experimenting with going to Mars and doing these things. They've got Mount Weather, Raven Rock, and that's just what we know about. They have likely created situations in which if there is a great flood that lasts 40 days, they'll have no problem to survive and maintain technology. They don't want you, survivors on the surface, to have access to basic information. So the Guidestones get destroyed because the Guidestones had on them basic translation and basic math and star mapping. And the rules are the rules are less important. Like everyone remembers the rules where it's like keep the population under 500 million. But on it, it was like a Rosetta Stone for various languages intentionally. If the flood happens, they want us confused and unable to communicate and work with each other.
Well, the Georgia Guidestones too. You are right though. How they had like you could see the North Star from any angle at any time of the day. You know, so I don't know. I think that there is a conspiracy that one day they want to, decrease the population. I don't know how they do that. I don't think it's any nuclear war. I think it will be like some.
It was bombed. Someone was saying. I thought it was
like. I think it'll be a natural disaster if that does happen, like another flood.
I think there's an interest. I think talking with Ben Davidson about the Adam and Eve theory. This dude, we've interviewed him several times. He is not some like flat Earth conspiracy guy who makes weird arguments and ice wall. He's tracking solar weather patterns. I interview him and everything he says is like actually rooted in mainstream science. He just has a different view of what it would result in. So like to exemplify, there are people who are like, there's a great ice wall and you can't go there because the military will block you. And it's like, well, that's like untestable. Like there are people who've gone to Antarctica. You know what I mean?
On approved cruises and on a government approved stuff. Yeah.
And people who work at McMurdo and who are on the internet, like you could argue it's all a lie or whatever. But again, that's like a nebulous thing. Ben doesn't do that. Ben says, oh, no, here's the official report from, like NOAA and from like NASA pertaining to solar activity. We've got independent research stations that say this thing just happened. And then he's like, here's, a good example is he talked about the Indonesian glaciers. And he was like, there are glaciers in Indonesia. They've been there for a very long time. The remnants of the Ice Age. All of it is like, he's got all this mainstream normal science. You can track all the real data. It's all happening. And then he says, I think 1 + 2 = 3. Whereas the mainstream science says, no, it's 2 + 2 = 4. So they're all looking at, this is why I find what he says to be compelling. He's looking at the real science and then giving you an argument to what he thinks comes next. He's not saying the science is lying to you and they've made it up. You know what I mean?
Well, all I know is that they're putting Kool-Aid in pineapple jars and it's the most delicious thing ever. Have you had the Kool-Aid pineapple yet?
No.
I have not
you
tried
guys never had that yet?
No.
What?
No.
See, that's like where our country's going.
We used to put Kool-Aid in pickle jars.
Well, now they're putting it in pineapple.
Oh, that was Sam Hyde who did
It's
that.
the most delicious thing ever. So I would say that, like, if we really want to get into
it's actually a good idea, to be honest.
It is. Well, there's two things I want to say. I think the Artemis mission was fake, and I think Jeremy from the Quartering is evil for striking the Kino Casino, guys.
What does that have to do with it?
Nothing. I just wanted to mention that tonight. I know that.
What did he do? What was that?
You didn't see what Jeremy did? I want to bring it up because Jeremy, I want to actually bring this point up. And I want to make this
I don't watch any of this stuff, dude. It's like low-tier YouTube drama.
Always been sneak dissing you for a long time, Tim. And, I was friends with Jeremy and you're friendly with Jeremy. But just, he, gets Hannah Claire, does this. He's always
whatever.
I know, and you're happy that Hannah Claire's got a gig. I'm just saying. I know, we have Carter. I'm just saying. but Hannah Claire knows.
Dude,
I'm not even trying to make it about me.
Do you have any idea how many people are lying about me and screwing with me or just threatening to murder me every day?
A lot of people. But
I ain't sitting here being like, oh, no, Jeremy said a naughty word about me.
I don't think he has said anything bad about you. I'm just saying he went and he tried to censor the Kino Casino guys.
What is that? What is that?
It backfired. So there's this guy, a PPP. He's very funny. And Worski. Yes, you've never seen the Kino Casino?
No, I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
They've been, going after Jeremy, saying that they have evidence, which I don't agree with, Jeremy, that your wife and they have a bull and that, he pays some black guy to bang his wife. I didn't say that. I don't agree with that, Jeremy. Just I want that on the record.
Is that like they made something up about him?
Well, they do think that they have evidence. My point is they've been going after him very hard, unfairly. People attack you. People attack me. People attack Phil. I mean, that's the internet culture that we live in.
Nobody attacks me.
My point is he went and actually got their channel taken down on YouTube.
He actually got taken down?
It actually got taken down. Their channel got taken down, and Carter can give us a better, I think.
Dude, I can't. I don't follow this stuff.
What do you mean you don't follow? Carter, you're such a liar. What are you talking about? Hannah Claire left his show because of all this shit.
No, what?
No comment?
Well, I have no idea. Bro, we don't follow any of this stuff.
Okay, so his co-host, Melanie Mack, was like defending
Okay.
Oh, my God. We're all involved in this. You're involved.
I'm not involved in this.
I'm involved.
What?
We're all involved in this.
Okay.
Well, I thought this would... Listen, I'm clip farming right now, but to be honest, I am clip
That's
farming.
why you brought it up.
Yeah, because
we're all just like, what are you talking about?
I just wanted to clip farm because Carter's here.
I saw a clip on X. I saw a clip on X where someone said something about him, and I just scrolled past it, and I didn't really think much of it. They were like, he got someone flagged, and I didn't know anything about any of the claims, nor do I really care. I got to be honest. There's a lot of drama as it pertains to like YouTubers and stuff The only one that I've talked about recently was Ethan Klein versus the live streamers. You know this one?
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest, bro. This is one of the biggest cases. If Ethan Klein loses this, it means that we will be able to go on Timcast IRL, title the episode "I Hate Marvel," and play Avengers Doomsday in full,
and just talk smack about it,
and just sit there and watch and say this is awful. Look at the colors they chose. What this court has ruled, and again, it's not the incorrect ruling. It's based on precedent coming from a Hughes v. Benjamin and previous cases, and this is the natural conclusion of fair use. I gotta say this. We gotta go to chats, but I gotta bring this up because this is much more important drama. I knew this was coming, and the preliminary ruling right now is that Ethan Klein cannot get this suit dismissed. He's got to have a response. The streamer watched his documentary in full and even, apparently according to the case, said, don't give him views, watch here instead, or something to that effect. His argument was watching the full thing with commentary or otherwise and telling people don't give me views is literal market infringement, which is not fair use. Fair use, people need to understand this, is copyright infringement, but it is protected copyright infringement for a variety of factors. One of the most important questions is, does this infringe on the market of the content producer? The way it was historically taken to be. I cannot show a clip from Star Trek on this show because Paramount licenses clips from Star Trek. So they would argue the reason that's not fair use, even if it is commentary or in the public news, in public good, because it infringes on our market to sell these clips to people who do want to make these shows. So I've actually had YouTube take hard copyright block one of my videos on the Tim Pool show because I was talking about American culture and I showed a clip that was like 20 seconds from Star Trek explaining why the 90s were good and the message was being brought and it was culturally relevant, and they flagged it, locked it. I appealed. It said if I want to, they rejected the appeal, then said I'd have to sue. I consulted with counsel and they said, you will lose against Paramount because they licensed this content. And that means that it's not fair use because now you are directly infringing their market, which is to sell you a license to use the content. But with the Ethan Klein case, if this gets set, then precedent, then it's out the window, and we're gonna watch some Avengers Doomsday.
It's not gonna matter because you might have a legal team, but the average everyday YouTuber doesn't have a legal team. They're gonna file the copyright claim, and they're not gonna be able to fight it. Because
it does matter because the streamer that was sued by Ethan Klein also doesn't have she only has legal advisory and filed on her own behalf and was a small streamer. But what matters is if she wins, I don't care about the small creator's decision to watch Age of Ultron or some other Avengers movie. It means bigger shows can now play feature-length films in their entirety so long as you post it with some critique.
It will get copyright claimed by the company.
And it will lose in summary dismissal is the point.
It will never make
precedent
summary dismissal. The people, what
do you mean?
They will appeal.
Wait, hold on, let's stop.
I'm saying YouTube.
You are saying that if Paramount files a lawsuit against me.
Against you.
And then I just said I don't care about the small creators and what they do. I said we can watch. It means bigger creators who they'll file a suit and I'll file a summary dismissal and they'll got to pay my court costs if precedent gets set.
The precedent may change for bigger creators, but for the people that exist on YouTube that don't have that infrastructure,
who cares?
Because it matters to people who do create in space.
That was never my point. My point was if that precedent is set on this show, can play Avengers Doomsday.
Well, tell
the movie
I would
comes
argue
out.
that actually Paramount should want people playing their content and reacting to it because more people will see it. I know they might lose money from that, but it's same like. Well, you actually want people reacting to your content, even if they're saying negative things about it.
This is the important thing to understand. There's an app where people could put a movie on and all hang out together and watch it. And they had to get licenses for these films. We had talked about in the past, it would be great to do a show that was like Mystery Science Theater 3000.
That'd be awesome.
But you can't because it's an infringement issue. This changes the game. The Ethan Klein lawsuit could set precedent. He's got a preliminary loss. If the argument for the judge stands, and there's no appeal or anything, then it's it's not yet precedent, but it's the beginning of setting precedent where we would be able to do a Mystery Science Theater for any feature-length film. And listen, I'm going to tell you why it's going to happen. You want to know why it is going to happen? Because this was the playbook the whole time for AI. Jack Dorsey, Elon Musk have advocated for the end of intellectual property rights. When these court issue these rulings, the big companies are going to go, oh no, oh geez, oh no, what, oh God. And then they're going to buy up control of the AI generated video platforms. They'll have access to all intellectual property under fair use transformation, and you'll be able to make Spider-Man fight the Powerpuff Girls. And when Sony tries claiming that's our IP, say, no, it's transformative because now Spider-Man is fighting an alternate universe character and we're commenting on it.
See, what I want to do now is I want to just have every day do watch-alongs with some copyrighted content. And I'm like, I don't care how much of Tim Pool's money I have to spend to keep watching these movies and commenting. I'm going to do it, okay?
We got to go to your rants and super chats, so smash the like button, share the show. We're going to talk about some dark and dangerous things on the uncensored portion of the show. You don't want to miss it. But in the meantime, Mythos says there can be no coexistence with Islam. You cannot coexist with someone whose core values are to dominate you. Interesting.
I don't know if I agree with that. You know, I got canceled for this. I did an interview with this guy, Beck Lever. And listen, these Muslims, they do have this thing where, you know, if they kill you, it's all okay in the Quran and they get 72 virgins. But I would argue that most Muslims aren't violent, just like most Indians and most Jews and most white people are not violent. So that's my argument to that.
Here we go. God's Omen says, your video earlier about the girl who was your friend, but not now. You said a really good line. Power in my hands is better than power in your hands because you're a liar. Should be a t-shirt. Yeah, for those that don't know, you know, I have this thing where I do not engage in political controversy with people who are my friends. So I have long mentioned I have many liberal and progressive people that I consider friends. There are some progressive activists I have known literally my whole life since I was a teenager that I am still friendly with and still talk with despite our very serious disagreements. I always find it funny when I go on social media and I'll see like my friend post this like crazy far left trans kids activism and then I'm posting the opposite. But when it comes to us being friends, we do not attack each other over these things because we kind of understand politics is politics. That being said, Milana Weintraub decided to actually make a statement to me when I commented on one of her posts. I've commented on her posts periodically throughout the years because we used to be friends. And for those that don't know who that is, she's Lily from the AT&T commercials. She's also in Project Hail Mary. And she's been campaigning for Nithya Raman. And so she made a post about it. And I commented, how do you, I said something like, how do you think she was able to pull ahead of Karen Bass, like pull ahead of Karen Bass in late mail-in votes in a single jurisdiction? Highly impressive. It's like, because I intentionally do not antagonize or even on my show name the people that I've been friends with for a long time who are progressives. I'm not going to start a fight. Well, she responded with, I'm a greedy, humorless incel who sold his morals for views. And she learned long ago that, you know, she's like insulting me. And I said, you know, my response to her was like, you never once called me or messaged me or anything. The last time I talked to her, considering, you know, my attitude is like, we're not friends anymore. Okay, now you're just a progressive activist, and if you want to insult me and lie. So my first statement was when I met her, I was already rich, so calling me greedy is ridiculous. She calls me humorless, despite the fact that I laughed at her comedy. I went with her to a comedy show where she performed, and I laughed, and I made jokes she laughed at, so that's clearly a lie. And I'm married with a kid, and she knows this, so clearly the incel thing, all just lies. And I think this is a perfect example of the left-right divide, and that's why I thought, you know, I'm going to talk about it. I thought about it for a while, because I'm like, in all the years that I had known her and all the things she had said and all the progressive activism she does, because, again, she's a celebrity, I never said this, you know, Milana Weintraub, look how big she is and look what she's advocating for. I disagree. I've never even brought her up. I said, you know what? This is off limits because we're friends and I'm not going to get into it. And my comment never insulted or anything like that. So she decides to insult me, so we're not friends anymore. Okay, so be it. I think this perfectly exemplifies the left-right divide. She made a video about campaigning for Nithya Raman where she just disparaged Spencer Pratt, didn't explain his positions, and that's fine. It's campaigning. And I look at the way she frames things and I say, right, Nithya Raman is accumulating votes through illicit activities, through ballot harvesting. It's all legal, but it is underhanded. And that's the problem with the left. I have no problem texting a progressive that I've known for years and having a conversation or inviting him on the show or anything like that. The response they give is you have defied our orthodoxy. You are now our enemy. And so my response was, this shows exactly what kind of friend you have always been. So I will just say this. Many of my early videos on the Timcast channel are at her house, like hanging out with her in LA, and she let me crash there. And I will say this too. She said that I changed, and I want to make sure this point is absolutely clear to everybody because it exemplifies, again, the culture war. When I was at her house, and I hung out with her for years, and over a period of years, I should say, and I stayed at her place when I was in LA, she had friends come over. Her friends are progressives. We all had very nice, cordial conversations about Trump supporters. And there was one great conversation where I was sitting down with her and a bunch of her friends, and they were talking about Trump supporters being racist and all that. And I said explicitly, I think it was like 2017 or 18, I said, no, they're not racist. I said, I think there are racists, and I think there are racists who support Trump, but like your average Trump supporter is like a working class guy who lives in the suburbs or in like a rural area. I think the concerns they have with like things that Trump is bringing up is like political elitism, the will of the people. Like I explained all this stuff we all talk about on the show, and they all nodded along and said, "Oh, okay, well, blah, blah, blah." We agreed. I talked to her personally about all of these issues. One of the first conversations we ever had was over gun rights, where she told me no one should be allowed to have guns, and I argued that, I have a story where I was in Miami and someone broke into jumped on our property, and there had been murders. Like, what should I do? And it was a good conversation. She knows my opinions going back to when we met back in like 2013 or something. All of my opinions are relatively the exact same as they've always been. I made YouTube videos in her house. So for her to now say that I'm a greedy, humorless incel who's changed my views for money, what she's really saying is, over time, our lust for power has come to preclude the likes of you and my willingness to have a conversation with you. You are our enemy. That's it. That's what she said. And I think that exemplifies exactly what the left really is. Or at least so many of them. Well, I got to always give this, sorry, real quick. Shout out to Brian Shapiro. Everybody knows Brian Shapiro. The right calls him Lion, Crying Brian. He's a friend of mine. We play poker together. He's very funny. We disagree on all these things, but he exemplifies what is good in people who actually may have disagreements. And I would much prefer that people like Brian, despite him being vitriolic in these Piers Morgan's debates, I would prefer the left be him, where he will actually still come to dinner with you and say, no, look, we disagree, and I'll call you names, but I can hang out with you. And that I agree with.
He's frustrating.
I know he's bad on the internet, but I like Brian. I talk to Brian all the time. But I will say
funny.
this, though, Tim, you're acting like you don't want to change. I think there's an argument to be made that the caterpillar into the butterfly, like we should be changing. Like we should always be evolving a little bit. So I think.
But my point is simply that for her to claim that I sold my morals for you, said you used to be smart. My views haven't changed. Like my views have only changed slightly on the Constitution and on gun rights, more so in favor of gun rights. But again, one of the first things we ever talked about when I met her was we need to have guns because these and it was a nice conversation. It was cordial. For her to then claim that the same views I told her to her face are me changing, I think really just shows that the left is a cult. I'll put it this way. How about if she had a problem, she just send me a text and just say like,
do it publicly, yeah.
It's got to be publicly, but not even at the comment on her post. At any point in time when she said, I don't like what you're doing, she could have called me and said like, what's happening? Like, I watched this video you did, and we could have talked about it. And likely, I guarantee what happened is she watched a fake video from some lefty that was clickbait garbage. And instead of saying like, is this real or what's going on? She just decided to say, I now hate you, which says to me, I don't think we were ever really friends. I think her world is just accumulate power through social connections. And I think the difference between whatever it is we do, I'm not saying every Trump supporter is like this, but the right tends to be a quest for truth and functionality with an assertion of a moral worldview. And the left tends to be a moral worldview desperate for power. Again, Curtis Yarvin puts it very, very well. The right treats power like a wine snob treats alcohol, and Democrats treat power the way an alcoholic treats alcohol. I'm gonna go a little bit late because I was rambling, and we got to get some of your Rumble rants, which it wouldn't be fair if I didn't get them. So we'll just grab a couple more.
I think I saw someone had a baby in the YouTube.
Well, we'll try and get it. Rasputin says, Tim, you are wrong. The U.S. Constitution is meant to defend state citizens against tyranny of the state. State constitutions are meant to defend citizens against federal tyranny. Read what the Founding Fathers wrote about the federal Constitution. I don't know if your point is actually contradictory to what I'm saying. The federal Constitution was meant to constrain the federal government. And the state constitutions were meant to constrain state government. That's not the other way around. State constitutions aren't meant. You said the state constitutions are meant to defend against federal tyranny. I don't think that quite makes sense. When, for instance, the Pennsylvania Constitution specifically outlines how they vote in Pennsylvania, has nothing to do with the federal government at all. So let's grab a couple of the YouTubes. Over here. Let's see. Yeah, but I'll just say one more time. Like, There are a lot of people that I'm friends with. They're prominent progressive personalities or celebrities. I've never mentioned their names because I'm like, yeah, they're off limits. They're friends. I'm not going to start a drama beef with someone who's literally a friend of mine. But, you know, I haven't spoken with Milana since she tried to overturn racial discrimination protections. Not an exaggeration. She was advocating that California overturn their civil rights protections in their constitution. So I privately messaged her and we talked on the phone and I explained to her that I thought it was dangerous to give the government the ability to discriminate on the basis of race in schooling and contracting. And she said she was in favor of it. And I said, I think that's literal white supremacy. I think that to reverse the civil rights era provisions that were put in the Constitution. And she said, I agree with it. And I said, okay, agree to disagree, I guess. So at any point she had a disagreement, she could have done what I did and just called and talked about it.
Well, Rachel Wilson, $20 super chat. I remember how charitable and reasonable Brian Shapiro was to me IRL. You guys got to be kidding me. Dude is nuts. What did Rachel and Brian? I didn't know they had a crush.
Brian is extremely vitriolic.
He is. I agree.
Yeah.
It's kind of
and like I'm sitting next to but if you ask him to get food with you, he will say yes.
Maybe it's because you pay, though. Like, do you pay for dinner? Maybe he just wants a free dinner.
No.
I mean, Brian is like his viewpoints are garbage, but he's actually a laid back guy. In person.
Yeah.
Like,
we went to Vegas. Brian hit me up and said, I heard you're coming to Vegas. Let's hang out. I said, absolutely. We went and played poker, and it was hilarious. We played with Brad Garrett was there. It was awesome. He came.
Brad Garrett's a legend.
Yeah,
everybody loves Raymond.
And Brian stacked him and took $1,000 from him. It was
from Brad Garrett.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Brad Garrett had 2 pair, but Brian had flopped straight.
Brian's a retarded libtard, but he's kind of nice in person. I'll just say that.
That's my point. Is like Brian will go online and post crazy things. And then he'll be like, well, look, man, like when we hang out, we can kind of chill out.
Well, he does say he doesn't like trans in women's sports. He's actually on our side of that.
My point is, between like Brian and Milana doesn't like my politics, so she calls me an incel humorless, despite the fact that we had been friends and I've known her for over a decade. Brian goes online and says crazy vitriolic things and starts fights with people, but says, well, I'll hang out with you if you ask, and I'll be nice to you if you ask. And like, he's like, to Rachel, if you wanted to grab dinner with Brian and ask him to be polite, he would say yes. He would say absolutely. And you could, he would not be mean to you. I agreed. He can be nuts on social media. Like literally at the poker table, he's like, look what I said to this person. And I was like, Brian, why do you post stuff like that?
I know. He's rage baiting. Like that's what he does. I mean, he's just a little
And so that's allowed. Like Milana wants to campaign for Nithya Raman, and I think Nithya Raman uses illicit voting practices
Who's the guy
to win.
you debated?
I didn't insult her over it. I did not make a video where I said, screw you, blah, blah, blah. How could you do this?
What was the tweet you said again?
Which one?
The tweet to her about Nithya Raman?
I said, I posted on Instagram something like, how do you think she was able to do so well in early voting, surpassing Karen Bass in a single jurisdiction ballot? Highly impressive.
I mean, she may have taken that as sarcasm.
Well, that's another part of the problem. I was legitimately asking, like, wow, like this candidate you campaigned for outperformed in early voting. How do you think it is? Here's the reality. I think Milana knows full well they are cheating. I think she knows exactly that if she answered that question, it would expose what they are doing. So instead of saying, we dispatch activists to go knock on nursing home doors, ask people who they're voting for, and if they're against us, we ignore them and leave. And if they're for us, we collect their ballot and we get paid to do it. I think that would kind of be bad for your political worldview. So instead, it's you're a humorless, greedy incel, and you've sold your soul, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, right. This is the thing about, like, we had Destiny on the show, and Destiny's he's unabashed in this is years ago. We talked about COVID, I think it was COVID, and how Democrats were using this to implement policy changes. And he says, when else would you? And I was like, what? And he goes like, of course they did. And I said, wait, hold on. An emergency happened, so Democrats used that to exploit the fear of the people to gain power. And he goes, yes. And I said, I think that's wrong. And he goes, I don't. And I said, okay. I respect that. Like
Hillary Clinton's on record saying, "Don't let a disaster go to waste."
Yeah. But what I respect about Destiny in that regard is, he says this is literally what we're doing because we should. And I'm like, wow, I think that's evil. And he goes, okay, well, I don't. And I'm like, well, at least you're saying outright what you're doing. We got to go to the members only uncensored portion. Smash the like button, share the show, all that good stuff. We'll talk more about this. We'll keep it going. We can spill the beans on a bunch. You know what?
I'll just get spicy in the members portion
because Alex got to say naughty things.
I gotta
follow me.
Bad stuff.
Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Alex, what you got?
Alex Stein 99. I'm going on tour the whole month of July. Come see me. I'm coming to a city near you. AlexStein99.com.
Guys, if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. You should watch Pop Culture Crisis. We are live Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific, YouTube and Rumble. I'm also doing bonus content shows over on the Timcast Discord. Every other Saturday, I'm doing like a 1-hour PCC event where I do some news in the pop culture space and then talk to callers. It's a lot of fun. You should go become a Timcast member.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. This Sunday, we are playing at the Warped Tour in Washington, D.C. You can get your tickets at warptour.com. Don't forget.
That's sick. You're playing on the Warped Tour this weekend? But
Yeah.
Wait,
it's this weekend?
Tour, right?
It's Sunday, yeah.
Oh, man. Wait, where's it at?
In D.C.
Are we going to skate? Really? That's when
You
the
need
UFC
to go,
fights
Tim.
happen.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Same day.
That's going to be nuts. Where in D.C.?
I want to say Kennedy Park.
I mean, we had talked about it. I'd love to skate the mini ramp if we could get in. They're going to have one, right?
I don't know. I'd have to look into it.
They usually did. But I think the problem for me is just security would be nuts.
Yeah, they're going to be like, there's some, but you're probably going to get like mobbed.
Well, no, like anytime I got to go somewhere, I have a bodyguard.
Yeah, but one bodyguard's not going to help you at the Warped Tour where there's like
festival.
Well, right. No, I'm saying like when I travel, we have a bodyguard. When I go to big events, we have 4.
We need
Festival
you to
ground.
like hit the mosh pit with the bodyguard.
Yeah.
It's going to be the
Like
festival
the
grounds
bodyguard's
at
just
RFK
holding on to me and
camp.
hugging me. And curled up in a little ball. All right. Are you good? We're wrapped up.
Don't forget the left lane is for crime.
Left Lane is for Crime. Phil, I'm Carter Banks. You can follow me at Carter Banks on X and Instagram at Carter Banks Official. Follow our label at Trash House Records on YouTube. Got a song coming out Juneteenth. And a promo is up right now. Let's get it, Tim.
We'll see you all at rumble.com/TimcastIRL right now. Thanks for hanging out.